everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Channel. It's Murph. It's Caleb Brashear. It's the Bash Brothers, and we're back for the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. It's time for the AMA on Thursday night on P1. And Caleb, we're at the place that Gary Godso refers to as Lost Wages, my friend, Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Las Wages, the gambling capital of the world here at Las Vegas, and I guarantee you we'll probably see some gambling here today. Put it all on red here, Murph. Put it all on red. Never put it on black.
Yeah, you don't ever put it all on black. You always put it all on red. I'm not a big fan of 000 roulette. I hear that's popular on the strip, and I don't really like 6-5 blackjack either. But this track here in Las Vegas, it does have a long and storied history, probably a little bit further back than most might imagine. This is the original site of something called the Las Vegas Speedrome, which was built here in 1972 on the site of this track. Racing in Vegas, by the way, goes back to the Stardust International Raceway, and yes, that Stardust that featured in the movie Casino. The track here, though, there's been racing here since the early 1970s, then bought by Bruton Smith, and the current oval was constructed in 1996. It was then bought by Bruton Smith in 1998. NASCAR Cup Series action followed. You know who won the first race here on this track, Caleb? I bet you know him.
Do I know him?
I bet you've raced against him in iRacing.
Have I? Very first. I would not. Go ahead and give it to us, Murph.
Very first major race here was an IndyCar race. They actually came here in the old Champ Car machinery the first year, 1996, and it was the final race for the turbocharged engines in the IndyCar series until 2012 when they were brought back into the formula. That race is known as the Lost Race because coverage was preempted and most fans never saw the end of the event. It was won by none other than Richie Hearn, driving for John Della Penna. They, of course, went to the Champ Car Series the next year. Richie raced in kart for 4 or 5 years, came back, made multiple Indianapolis 500 starts, but the first race here was an IndyCar event, won by Richie Hearn. The track itself, 1.5 miles. The record here is held in an IndyCar. Same event, Richie Hearn and a Reynard 95i Ford, 24.636. The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Grand National Series track record, AJ Allmendinger, 30.063. And you were mentioning something from practice earlier, Caleb. This place is bumpy.
Yes, it is. It's a lot bumpier than I remember, actually. In these stock cars, it was very, very bumpy going through 1 and 2 specifically when I did my little bit of testing here. And it's also very, very loose compared to the other mile and a half. So it has a little bit more banking, has a little more banking all around, which will mean the tires will get, slightly more worn and slightly looser than most of the other mile and a half cookie art tracks that we go to. But it is very, very bumpy, and I guarantee you somebody will make a mistake because of that.
Yeah, it's a lot like Fontana, the old surface out at Auto Club Speedway in Southern California, in that it's in the desert, so it's never been paved, and we don't think about that in terms of bumpy, but this is the original surface. It doesn't have to worry about a lot of rain. It does get sandblasted, and a lot of people wouldn't realize either. Vegas gets really, really cold when it comes down to nighttime. It can get pretty chilly. And so the track does have freeze and thaw cycles. There's not a lot of moisture in the air, but it does have those cycles, and it can definitely mess up the pavement. So the track is pretty bumpy. It is very, very sandblasted, and it will wear out the tires. Traditionally, when we come to Vegas, we see more or less almost restrictor plate style racing for 10 or 15 laps, maybe as many as 20. And then the cars are going to spread out as soon as the tires get hot and the grip goes away. The abrasive surface wears the good years out, and it's going to turn into who can save their tires the best. Speaking of people not saving tires, though, Caleb, give a little preview to the fans out here who they can look for in a run for the pole. 3 guesses, Caleb Brashear. Who's the fastest right now in practice?
Well, we go off previous winners. You're very tempted to say Greg Evans, but I'm gonna have to say the old bread and butter. It's gotta be Peyton Howell with how quick he has been the entire season. I'm going to take a gander and say it's going to be him.
Peyton Howell is quickest right now, 30.089, and that is just a hair off of the track record for this series in real life held by A.J. Allmendinger. Ryan O'Donohue, Greg Evans round out the top 3. Trevor Ryan and Sam Crow are 4th and 5th, almost 179.5 on the speed for Peyton Howell. And that's Hall in the mail. The point standings in the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Peyton Howell is your points leader, 169. He is 1 point clear. 1 point clear of Greg Evans on 168. Ryan O'Donohue third at 142. John Hutchins and David Dunwoody round out your top 5 in points. Riley Lean, Sam Crow, Kendall Paul, Andrew T. Jones, Troy Carricker are the remainder of the top 10. So that's those are the drivers you're going to be watching for in terms of points. The practice speeds are up for the fans at home. Shout us out. Let us know what you're thinking in the chat. We're more than happy to talk to you if we don't reply in the chat. While we're waiting, Caleb Brashear's got some big news, my man. You joined a new IndyCar team. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot here, Murph. Yeah, we both me and my teammate have joined Team I5G in the IndyCar series. We were given the opportunity, thankful to Brendan, because he was the one that was really pushing to get the two of us on the team. You'll see Logan Edwards driving our truck series. He was the one that joined me, as I said, and we just got the grateful opportunity to join Team I5G earlier in the week. And we've had this opportunity. Again, Brendan was the one that was really pushing for us, and we're excited to start a new chapter with one of the biggest and not maybe the most prominent iRacing IndyCar team on the service. You know, they are Brandon Trano, Brendan Lichtenberg, Christian Steele. Those are all guys, Chris Demerit, that I raced against coming up, and they are fabulous drivers. I got a chance to meet Brendan Lichtenberg and Chris Demerit at the Sim Gaming Expo in Chicago. They are tremendous people, and truthfully, they run one of the funniest, but also one of the most informative YouTube iRacing YouTube channels. Check them out. It's Team I5G on YouTube, and you can go back and watch. You can go back and watch some of those, especially some of the old Arca Break weekly episodes. They were actually the reason, Caleb, that I got off the bench and started doing this. Was some of those videos that they were making back when you were in high school. So fun group of guys to be around, and I'm glad that you've got a home there, and I look forward to beating you when you're on the track, and so am I. Anyway, I do want to welcome Chrono 0001. He says, first time watching an iRacing stream, so welcome. Hopefully it's entertaining. We're about 5 seconds away from qualifying. Peyton Howell, the quickest on the course in practice. And that's going to do it. Practice has ended, Caleb, and I'm interested to see who's got the speed in qualifying as the session opens. Traditionally, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the quickest in practice, and that would be Peyton Howell. So as soon as he is available, we are going to transition to Peyton Howell, and we're going to show his laps as drivers start to take to the track.
We got Donald Green out there. Brian Sharp is on the Speedway. Michael Kirk, Sam Crow, John Hutchins, Raymond White. They are all out there, and so it'll be interesting to see the speeds here are a little bit different in practice. A little bit different in practice as opposed to qualifying, Caleb. You don't have a draft when you're out there in qualifying trim, so we'll have to see how this works out and if the speeds from practice carry over. Chrono says he's watching free practice 1 for F1. He'll have to keep us posted. I don't have Apple TV. I've got every streaming service known to man, but I don't have that one. Ryan O'Donoghue heads out onto the Speedway, and so we'll show him. We'll get the inputs up, and we are going to jump onto the roof cam for Ryan O'Donoghue as he heads out onto the track. O'Donoghue, second quick. And do you anticipate this is going to be a first or second lap qualifying run?
Well, it was weird at Phoenix. We had about a 50-50 split. The fastest, the pole time there at a short track of all places was the first lap. And for these mile and a half on a qualifying run, it typically runs a lot like a pack race, or at least for the, at least in qualifying, you kind of run it like a pack race to where you kind of sacrifice your first lap, you get as much speed as you can, and you see Ryan O'Donoghue, that's what he's doing in 3 and 4. He's getting really, really close to that wall, carrying as much speed as he can. He really touches it on exit there, and then he's going to go to the bottom, and this is when his true flying lap will start. So it's a little bit of a 50-50. Sometimes the first lap is quicker because you have the fresher tires, but sometimes the second lap is quicker because, well, you can carry a lot more speed going into that lap. So I think it's going to be a 50-50 split for what we see.
He carried a ton of speed off into the back, off turn number 2, and just ticked the wall. We're on board looking through Ryan O'Donoghue's eyes. This is what you see if you're Ryan O'Donoghue. He comes across the line, and O'Donoghue is the quickest man in virtual Vegas tonight. 30.339 for Ryan O'Donoghue. Peyton Howell is now on the course, and we are going to step in to the eyeballs of Peyton Howell behind his Toyota Supra, behind the wheel of his Toyota Supra. Howell, the fastest in practice, just short of the track record set by AJ Allmendinger. He did tap the wall just slightly, and that's a concern, Caleb, because if you hit the wall hard enough in iRacing, if you don't watch this, you would know, but the service will give you an incident point, or we call them X's. If you get an X in a qualifying lap, it disallows the lap, and so you got to be careful. It'll let you touch it, but you can't hit it. You can't hit it much more than a light touch. Get an X, and it'll throw your lap out.
Yeah, that's what we saw from Ryan O'Donoghue there, and that possibly costed him a pole position here. He was very quick in practice, and possibly was going to go to the front of the field. But as we see Peyton Howell, he goes to the top of the board with a 30.146, and that's just a little bit of difference. We may have seen Ryan O'Donoghue put it, up there with Peyton Howell on the front row. But it's just one of those things where those small little mistakes can be everything, especially in qualifying.
They can. We've got Christopher Logan out on the track, the number 70. There he is. We'll show his lap. He's coming around to get lap number 2. His first lap was disallowed. O'Donoghue's second lap was thrown out. So O'Donoghue not able to capitalize on his second lap. And we'll jump on with Christopher Logan. He's coming down the backstretch now better than 185 miles an hour. He's going to touch almost 190 off the power, right back in the gas. Can Christopher Logan, his first lap, 22nd quick? Can he improve lap number 2? He'll jump up to 9th. That's a really good lap. Yes, I mean, that's absolutely right. If you touch the wall and get an incident point, it'll throw your lap out. and you've got to start at the back. And we're going to have 4 drivers that had just that happen to them, Caleb, as we head for a starting grid. On the pole at 181.7556 miles an hour, it is Peyton Howell. He'll be flanked by Greg Evans to his outside. Trevor Ryan is going to go from third. Joining him on the second row is Ryan O'Donohue. Parker Linderman and Sam Crow will be in row 3. We're looking at Troy Carricker and Vance Fisher. They're going to go from 7th and 8th. Kevin Grettenberger and Christopher Logan will make out the rest. We'll fill out the rest of your top 10. In 11th, Say Hey Lewis Hayes in the Robert Turnbull Grease Monkey Special. There he is in the Petty Blue 43. Crash Neon is going to go from 12th. He's in the Ghost ID number 00. David Dunwoody, Kendall Paul, they'll start 13th and 14th. Justin Osterman, Luke Reed, 15th and 16th. They'll be followed by James Hodgson in the forward-facing 88 and Lee Campbell in 18th spot. Keith Graham, Andrew Jones. They're going to go 19th and 20th, and there they are. Sergio Abella, Mason Muller, 21st and 22nd. 12th row, John Hutchins and Andrew Gates. Eric Corder, Randy Dunlap, 25th and 26th. The 14th row, Raymond White and Brian Sharp. 29th and 30th, Michael Kirk and Donald Green. 31st, Dylan Blankenship, then Christian Light, Ted Craven, the Teddy Bear in the number 1. And Chad Meadows will start shotgun on the field in 34th. Your pole award goes to Peyton Howell, and there is Peyton. Pole award in the AMA is awarded by Simshop. Go to www.simshop.com for all of your sim racing equipment needs. Just keep driving. Simshop.com. And it is not a bad grid for an iRacing event. 34 cars signed in tonight for the AMA. And really, you gotta think, Caleb. That's you're always gonna have a huge turnout for Daytona. You're always gonna have a huge, big turnout for the first couple of races. But once you get into the meat of the season, participation can start to fall off a little bit. So it's really neat to see the AMA especially continue that strong participation. As we get off at turn number 4 with the pace car, we're going to jump up in the flag stand with Barney. He's got the green flag in hand. Caleb Brashear, we are underway for 200 laps here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, one thing we always saw in the previous races was Peyton Howell get a really good start, but this time he has Greg Evans to his outside. Greg is still side by side with Peyton Howell coming off the corner. And like you said earlier, we'll see a bit of pack racing for these first about 15, 20 laps-ish, but then once the tires start to fall off, then you'll start to see who was really pushing early on and who was really saving their tires for a long green flag run, as we see a lot of 2 to 3 wide action in the middle of the pack here as Peyton Howell has pulled away from Greg Evans just a little bit.
We do indeed. We'll jump up at the front. It's Peyton Howell, and there he is coming off of turn number 2. He's got Greg Evans and Ryan O'Donohue. The DVD Motorsports twinsies, they are right there. And you were talking about equipment. Ryan O'Donohue, was talking with him earlier. He just got new SimMagic wheels, new SimMagic wheel, pedals, base, the whole bit. He's got an IndyCar style wheel. And so, Caleb, as you know, anytime you change equipment, that can be a little bit unsettling. But for O'Donohue, he's going from a circle to a rectangle and still trying to drive one of these. What's that like?
It's very unsettling. I mean, when I first got my rig, I didn't do much of the stock car. I didn't do much like anything else that wasn't like a prototype or the IndyCar or anything like that. So it was very unnatural when I first started testing these O'Reilly Grand National cars, and it was hard to kind of like keep a steady control with it. Honestly, it kind of felt a bit difficult to be very, very, very smooth with it, and sometimes you just turned in a little bit too much, or you didn't turn in enough. It was slightly harder to find that fine line when you are trying to do a formula wheel in these big bulky stock cars.
We've got a car sideways. That was Mason Muller. We were watching him race with Crash Neon, and Muller got a little bit sideways. Now we're looking at the 57 of Kevin Grettenberger, the 43 of Say Hey Lewis Hayes, and Vance Fisher. They're all mixed up in a furball. They're going for positions 8, 9, and Grettenberger is in 10th, and he is under fire from Mr. Excitement, Justin Osterman, who's going to go to the inside of Gettenberger. Osterman trying to move toward the front. He's always worth the price of admission, but what a save by Mason Muller coming off a turn number 4 there, Caleb. He gets it righted, gets it back in the right direction, but Mason Muller, my goodness.
Yeah, a very good save as we see the pack kind of start to thin out much earlier than I was expected. We're on lap number 6, and the pack is still it's still together at the moment, but it's very, very spread out very, very early on, which is we were expecting about 15 to 20 laps is when you start to see a tire fade. But maybe we're seeing a lot of drivers just be patient early on. Maybe we're seeing some other drivers push. So maybe we'll see. It'll be different later in the race, but very early on, the pack is very spread out at the moment.
It is. You're looking at the two leaders, Ryan O'Donohue and Peyton Howell, and they have pulled away nearly 1.7 seconds from this second group. That's Parker Linderman, Greg Evans, Troy Carricker. They've got a bit of space between themselves, and then Sam Crow has dove to the bottom of Trevor Ryan, and Sam Crow in the number 8, my old broadcasting mate, he's up to 6th. That'll move Trevor Ryan back to 7th, and they're joined by Vance Fisher in 8th. So there's a lot of movement up and down the field, but the two leaders have driven off. Caleb, they are gone.
Yeah, you see Peyton Howell. He's holding that bottom line on the outside. Ryan O'Donohue may get the lead going into turn 1. I think he's just about to clear him as they go into turns 1 and 2 here. Peyton Howell, we saw him in qualifying. He ripped that high line around the wall there, and it looks like he might just go to that strategy for the entirety of the race. He really seems to like it. Doesn't quite clear Howell on the bottom, though.
No, he doesn't. Ryan O'Donohue working the high side. Peyton Howell on the bottom. That's a Toyota versus a Chevrolet. And, you talk about managing tires. They're going to have to do that. The stages here tonight in the AMA are 45 and 90. We're going to do 200 laps. So they can make it all the way on gas in stages 1 and 2. There will be a pit stop in stage 3. They've got 5 sets of tires sitting in the pit box, plus what they got on the car. So tire changes won't necessarily be a thing in terms of do I need to save a set or not. But I'll tell you what, they are absolutely going to need to save their tires if they want to make it to the end of the stage. And you wonder, are O'Donohue and Peyton Howell using up too much of their stuff early on, Caleb?
I definitely think Ryan O'Donohue is. Vegas has a tire wear is very affected by banking, especially at these bigger mile-and-a-half tracks. We see it all the time in the IndyCar. You see it at Chicagoland, you see it here, where tire wear on these slightly more banked mile-and-a-half ovals, and you run that top line, it will absolutely just shred your right front. And I guarantee you Ryan O'Donohue working that high line on the outside of Peyton Howell is going to have a little bit more right front wear than Peyton, because if you're holding in the bottom, well, you could just take it. You're taking the best optimal line technically, so you're going to save tire a little bit more, even if you're going side by side with somebody.
Yeah, you most certainly will. Mark Murphy here, Caleb Brashear on the commentary. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can get in on all of it. It's a bit of a short week this week. It's week 13, so no officials this week. No officials this week Caleb. We are solely doing the league thing for right now, and we'll get back to our normal Monday night, Tuesday night IndyCar Open and IndyCar Oval, fixed oval schedule as soon as Season 2 opens up next week. Peyton Howell, Ryan O'Donohue are continuing to lead it. Parker Linderman, Greg Evans, they're still holding down positions 3 and 4. They've drawn a little bit away from Troy Carricker, who's pulled a little bit away from Sam Crow and Trevor Ryan. The battle is Say Lewis Hayes, and he's got Justin Osterman to his inside, Caleb.
Yeah, Justin Osterman up a couple of places. He started back in 15th, up 6 spots. He's going through the field right now as he tries to look around the outside of Say Lewis Hayes, but he's progressed. We've seen this all the time with Justin over the course of the season. You see him do these back-to-front runs quite often here. So this is just another one. I guarantee you he will continue to pick up more places in the course of this first stage here. And one thing you did mention is that it is week 13, and typically that is like the big update week every single season. These cars did get a massive update in terms of the aero and the handling. So this is kind of like a first test for many of these drivers in terms of like how these cars will handle over the course of this race here.
It is, and that's something we saw last night in the Horizon IndyCar Series race that Ryan Eric King and I did from Pocono. The IndyCar had a massive update too, but in the sim, every 13 weeks, the entire structure gets rebuilt, new data gets added. Justin Osterman gets a new place as he moves into 8th and immediately works to the high side of Trevor Ryan. Cars get updated, they get refreshed, new data gets added, and sometimes they drive completely differently than they did the week before. Last night, we're used to seeing a pack race at Pocono, and we're used to seeing cars on top of each other. Not so. The Indy cars got what I would reckon to be a 50 to 75 horsepower boost, Caleb. And those cars were fast. We were under the track record that was set back in the Aero Kit days, by the way. We were under the track record at Pocono. The cars got strung out. It was very much a one-on-one race. I hadn't seen anything like that in a long time at Pocono, and it's down to I think that the cars have gotten a little bit more power and a little bit harder to drive. We see these cars tonight. They're already strung out. Normally, you wouldn't see them do this early, but I think you're right. I think they've given this car a little bit more juice, and with that, you're seeing him string out a little bit more quickly. And Osterman, he's coming to the front, though, Caleb. He's moved around Trevor Ryan. Justin Osterman started this race 15th. He goes to the bottom of Sam Crow. He's looking for 6th. He's already up 8 spots.
Just as I talked about earlier, he started, again, 15th. And we've seen him do it over the course of this season so far, just progressively, move his way through the field. He's called Mr. Excitement for a reason, and he's able to make these big passes as he looks very, very high on Sam Crow there. He's going to have to run off the corner, barely taps the wall there. We'll see if he gets a really good run through 3 and 4.
Holy mackerel. If he didn't hit it, Caleb, he got really, really close. Let's jump on board with Justin Osterman. There you see him. He's got Sam Crow just in front of him.
All right, man. Caution.
We got caution.
Caution is out.
Caution is on the Speedway. Looking to see who it is. Caleb, I don't see anybody slow or dropping through the field. Do we have an incident that you have been able to find, Caleb? Because
Kendall Paul manually threw that caution.
Huh. So Kendall Paul, go ahead.
No, it's just a manual caution, and pit lane entrance was closed.
So Caleb is in charge of monitoring the in-race communication because, for obvious reasons, I'm not able to have the drivers and their comms on the channel. And so we'll await word on we'll await word on the reason for the caution. The track is in really good shape. It's 70 degrees in the air, 92 on the surface, racing surface. Wind is kind of stiff, 10 to 15 miles an hour out of the southwest. It's partly cloudy, so that's what we're gonna see. But the caution was thrown by Kendall Paul. It was a manual caution, and as soon as Caleb Brashear has word and he's hooked into race control, we will see what's going on. Meanwhile, Peyton Howell is going to lead some down the pit lane, but not all, Caleb.
Yeah, you'll see about a 50-50 split. They are limited on tires, so obviously you got to think about, late race runs with how much tire wear is affected here. You got to think about that. So you're about 50-50 split on the strategy, especially with being about halfway on the stage here. We see a lot of the front runners, Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donoghue, Sam Crow, stay out, Justin Osterman, all going to stay out. But you also see a large portion that were towards the further back of the field. They're going to gain quite a bit of spots. Put in reference, Peyton Howell was the first one down pit lane, and he is going to come out behind Brian Sharp, who was running 27th.
So here you go. The front 19 cars did not pit. Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donoghue, Sam Crow, the DVD Racing teammate, DVD Motorsports teammates, 1, 2, 3. Osterman, 4th. Trevor Ryan, 5th. Cautions in the AMA are brought to you by Admin Box. Race control at the touch of a button, and that's how Kendall Paul threw the caution with his Admin Box. If you're a race controller, you do a lot of you host a lot of sessions, you run a league, you need one of those. www.adminbox with 2 X's.com. It's going to be interesting to see what this does here. The front 19 cars stayed out. Peyton Howell pitted from the lead of this race, and he is going to restart 20th. And if you're Peyton Howell, you've been the leader. You look out of your visor, and that's what you see with 20 laps to go in the stage. 20 laps to go in the stage, Caleb. What are you thinking if you're Peyton Howell here?
I think you just got to make as many places as you can early on. Obviously, that's the main goal, but you've already used a set of tires. You may as well be full push if you want to try to get that stage points. He has to gain 20 positions to get back to where he was. It's not a tall order, especially with a track where tire wear is very, very important here at Vegas, but it's not going to be easy. But we've seen Peyton Howell do it before. We saw him do it a couple times at Phoenix, so I wouldn't be surprised if he will, towards the end of the stage, makes it back towards the front.
Yeah, we'll see what transpires, but Peyton Howell has a lot of work ahead of him. Can he pass 20 cars in 20 laps? We're about to find out. The pace car is going to duck off here. Barney is going to put the green flag in the air. It's a waving. The green light is going to come back on, and Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donoghue, Sam Crow, and Justin Osterman are going to lead the field away. We are back to green flag action at Las Vegas. Greg Evans gets a good jump. The DVD Motorsports crew behind him has streamed away, but Justin Osterman has gotten past Sam Crow. He looks to the inside of Ryan O'Donoghue. Osterman goes to the inside of Ryan O'Donoghue, and this is just about as well as we've seen Justin Osterman run this year. He's made it up to second spot, and he's going to give chase after Greg Evans, Caleb.
Yeah, Justin, still moving towards the front of the field here. We talked about it a little bit earlier, tire wear. I guarantee Ryan O'Donoghue is starting to feel that. And I guarantee you, Greg Evans, he started on the front row, but started to fall back just a little bit. I guarantee you he was thinking, okay, let's just immediately start saving tires. And I guarantee you Greg is probably going to pull away from the field here. Meanwhile, Justin Osterman and Ryan O'Donoghue go side by side on the exit 4.
Peyton Howell, 3 wide. He has already made it back to the 6th spot. He made up 14 spots in the first 3 laps of green. He's already to the backside of Trevor Ryan. He pulls to the outside of Ryan. He's going to get him very quickly. Drops to the inside of Sam Crow. It's like being Superman out there for Peyton Howell. Osterman and O'Donohue are having their own battle, and Howell just turns it left, drives it 3 wide under him in turn 4, and he'll assume the second spot. And Peyton Howell, in 4 laps, has gone from 20th to 2nd.
He's a man on the mission here, Murph. As we see behind him, Justin Osterman get very, very loose off the entry of 1 there. But Peyton Howell is now gaining on Greg Evans. We'll see if Greg has anything left in those tires to try to hold on to the lead for the rest of the stage here. Meanwhile, we are 3 wide in the middle of the pack here. It's going to get dicey here, Murph.
There goes the lead. It was a foregone conclusion. Peyton Howell a half a second quicker than everybody else on the speedway. Meanwhile, this is what it looks like in the middle of this thing. Christian Light is doing the damage. He gets around Troy Carricker and John Hutchins. Christian Light does not have tires. Vance Fisher and Troy Carricker do, and the tires are coming to the front. They're coming to the front in a big hurry. Say hey, Lewis Hayes. He also has a fresh set of Mr. Feelgoods on there. Kendall Paul gets a lick on the wall. Down all the way to the apron is David Dunwoody, who is also on tires. Dunwoody is looking to get to the front as well. Taking tires was definitely the way. I think we can mark that as a yes. Caleb Brashear, if the caution flies, I want me tires.
Yeah, it wears a lot more than I was expecting. We were expecting, again, 15 to 20 laps. Then you'll start seeing the tires fall off. It seems here it's only like 5 laps, and it's already a significant pace advantage. Peyton Howell has taken off in the distance. Greg Evans, who started on in front at the restart, he's still in front of the rest of the field, but it's just a massive gap already for Peyton Howell, and he's just sailing off into the distance. Meanwhile, the entire pack is just fighting behind them.
We're looking through the eyes of David Dunwoody, and I can guarantee you David Dunwoody is a good friend of mine. Full disclosure, one of my personal sponsors. If you ever see my IndyCar, he does all the paints for that. He's been a long-time friend of mine. I run his endurance team. David Dunwoody is having the time of his life, and I guarantee you there's a little bit of here kitty, kitty, kitty going on in that Discord. David Dunwoody pulls it to the outside of Greg Evans, and that's a power move. Evans is powerless to stop. Dunwoody to the outside. He's going to go to second. Say hey, Lewis Hayes. He's climbed into the 4th spot. So the tire strategy has worked for the guys that stopped. Now, here's the other bit. We'll flip back to Raymond White and watch him come through the field. White is 8th. He is the next car available on those tires. But Caleb, yes, Chrono, they can use it if it's paved. If it's paved, they can use it here at Vegas, just like in real life. This series, more or less, Osterman takes a hit from White. That's 1. I'm here. Osterman still sideways. Now they're going to door slam.
Osterman is really struggling here, Murph.
He is struggling indeed. Raymond White's going to go to the inside, and Osterman's got trouble because here comes Vance Fisher and Troy Carricker, and they also have 4 tires. Now, here's the thing, right? We've got 10 laps to go in the stage, or 11 laps this time by. I know we said there's 5 sets in the pit box. As Osterman loses the spot to White, he's going to lose it to Fisher, and he's going to lose it to Carricker before too much longer. Here's the issue, Caleb. I know we said 5 sets in the box. About half the field has used 1 set. That's 4. They're going to stop again when the yellow light comes out in about 10 laps' time, and they will have 3 sets left. Those that did not stop, they're going to pay the price here in this stage, but they have a set of tires. If we get a couple of yellows late, they're going to be able to change. Tires, and some of those guys that just stopped, well, Caleb, they might be out.
Yeah, it's good. If we get a late race caution, that's where it's really going to be a big factor, especially if we keep getting cautions. The more cautions we get, obviously more people will come down pit road, take tires. So it's going to be a bit of a gamble on whether or not, when we do get these cautions, if you decide to pit, as we see a bit of argy-bargy, as Townsend Bell always said, in the back there. for I believe that was Andrew Gates and Glendale Paul getting a little bit into it for the 12th spot.
Yeah, these guys, look, I mean, the ones, if you're Kendall Paul, Justin Osterman, Trevor Ryan, James Hodgson, you're out there on old tires. You're just trying to keep everything moving in the right direction. Meanwhile, it's almost like a class race. You've got the prototypes. They're the guys with new tires. You've got the GT cars. Those are the guys on old used Goodyears, and they are not enjoying life right now. Hello to Shelby Carricker, and thank you so much for joining in. We do appreciate you, and we do appreciate your super chats as always. There's Troy. He is 9th. He's one of those ones that stopped, and he's used that to pretty great effect. He's made up about 10 spots. Troy Carricker, at this point, he's 9th, but he had fallen all the way back to 22nd. And so Troy Carricker using those new tires to great effect here late in Stage 1, hunting a top 10 finish in the stage. Do thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can get in on all of the iRacing action here on the P1 Broadcasting Channel. It is week 13, so no officials. Those will pick back up next Monday at 8 o'clock with the IndyCar Open Series. We are going to the new track at St. Pete. Caleb, have you tested that place yet?
I will go on record and say it is probably the best street course on iRacing. See a big contact in back. I believe that was Eric Corder. No, that was Sam Crow into the wall.
Well, we got Dylan Blankenship. Dylan Blankenship is very slow at the start-finish line. Blankenship hit the wall, and he nearly slowed to a stop. No caution on the Speedway, and we're going to go back and see what has befallen Dylan Blankenship. Here he is. He's running along with Crash Neon. The 38 of Randy Dunlap is involved. There's the 57 of Kevin Grettenberger. And for Blankenship, he smacks the wall coming off of turn number 4, and then Crash Neon nowhere to go. Gets into the back of Blankenship, who tags Randy Dunlap. Dunlap hits it square. I'm surprised this didn't bring out a caution, and there it is. Caution is on the Speedway. Randy Dunlap has finally brought it out, and this will be the end of the stage. Dunlap spun it coming off of turn number 2, and I think this is just a continuation of what was a very long accident. So Dunlap has already been involved by this point with Blankenship and Crash Neon. He gets into the wall in turn number 1. He slows it nearly to a stop, Caleb. He's just kind of rubbing along the wall there. And I don't know at what point he's going to turn back down. Sometimes that will not trigger a caution. He stopped. Now he's stopped on the racing surface. He's going to try to get it going again, and he spins the car out in front of the 52. That is Peyton Howell. And so Peyton Howell, the leader, saw that coming. Yellow light on the Speedway, and in the pits goes Randy Dunlap. This will be the stage. Cautions brought to you by Admin Box. Race control at the touch of a button. If you're a league owner, league administrator, race controller, if you do a lot of hosted sessions, you host a lot of sessions, hit them up. That's adminbox.com for a custom race control button box. This is going to be the end of Track Racer Stage 1. Stage 1 brought to you by Track Racer. If you use promo code !ref equal 123, and I'm going to put it in the chat because, my goodness, there is no way for anybody to remember that. But if you put that promo code at the end of the web address, 5% of your order goes into the AMA prize pool. That's trackracer.com. Promo code is in the chat. 5% of your order goes to the AMA year-end prize pool. Question about the caution. A couple of questions, Caleb. So how do the cautions work? Well, the way that iRacing triggers them is that they will come on automatically if cars drop below a certain speed on the racing surface. It's interesting to note that the racing surface is between the white lines. And so sometimes you'll see an obvious crash, but they get down in the grass or they crash down pit road. You won't see a caution. Yes, they can repair the damage. There are no fast repairs in this league. And so it's just however long it takes the virtual mechanics in the pit lane to repair the automobile. Randy Dunlap is still awaiting his car to arrive in pit lane. We've already seen Troy Carricker, Keith Graham, as well as Dylan Blankenship. They've all made pit stops to repair some damage. They did not go a lap down. Randy Dunlap, he is 2 laps down and counting. But Caleb, kind of talk about damage repair in iRacing, if you would, because it's an interesting topic.
Well, it seems to be a little bit of a gamble sometimes on whether or not, you get damaged or not. Sometimes even the most minor contact will set you back minutes and minutes to repair. But you could come down under pit lane, and if you give in a meatball flag, that means you have to come down pit lane within a certain amount of laps and get that damage repaired. And there's 2 options. You have a required repair, which is the car will not function if you don't get this damage repaired, and it doesn't let you move. And then you also got the optional repairs, which is you could go without it, but it's probably recommended that you take them anyway. So you got you got that little leeway, I guess is the best way to put it. But with these big bulky Grand National cars, they could sometimes take an absolutely massive hit and not lose that much pace. Whereas sometimes you look at other cars, obviously in the IndyCar, even the most minor taps of the wall will completely ruin the race. But you can take a hit in these Grand National cars pretty well and still be all right. So that's just something to just be curious or be interested about. It seems to be a lottery system sometimes, considering we're in Vegas. It'll definitely be a lottery system here. See what I did there? I think that was pretty funny. But in terms of like how much damage you get and whether or not it's repairable, so it's just a luck of a draw sometimes.
The biggest thing that I think the fans at home will note is the car may look okay, but if it's been damaged, there are things that they can fix on pit lane, and there are things that cannot get fixed. So in a stock car, you can pretty much fix everything, but sometimes you'll keep a little bit of hidden damage. In the Indy car, if the floor gets damaged in particular, the mechanics on pit road can't fix that. So you might be done repairing damage, but the car may still be hurt in some small way, and that can still affect you. And sometimes, Caleb, you make the old adjustment on the wall, and it makes the thing handle a little bit better, and you don't want to fix it, right? So there are those things, too. The winner of the stage is going to be Peyton Howell. David Dunwoody second, Lewis Hayes third. We are going to come to the end of the stage at this lap. In the AMA, if it's within a caution period of the stage, they just keep the caution out. They just keep the caution out until the stage rolls. Are there specific spots that are stronger? I don't know that there are. It's just like real life, though. If you're going to hit, you want to try to hit it square. The cars, whether they be Indy cars, sports cars, stock cars, they all tend to be pretty robust if you hit the wall square. But if you hit it with any sort of force to the side or around the wheel areas, you can break the suspensions pretty easily. So wheel damage, toe links, things like that tend to get broken. This car probably a little bit more robust than a cup car or a truck. But they do, if you hit a corner, they tend to break things a lot worse. If you smash into the front, you'll break an engine pretty quick. The rear of these things tends to be more cosmetic damage. So if you see a guy with a big dent in the rear bumper, that doesn't really hurt anything. But that's kind of how the damage works. everybody is going to hit pit road this time, Caleb. I don't think we're going to see anybody stay out here.
Well, as you say that, David Dunley was coming down pit lane and then bailed out last second. He will actually, he's the only one on that did not come down pit lane. So we'll see how his tires last, or if he decides to come in next lap. But Payne Howell led him into pit road. We'll see if he comes out still in the lead here.
We will indeed, and maybe David Dunwoody is thinking, hey, you know, I used up a set of tires at that first caution. I got my stage points. I'm gonna stay out, not waste my second set here. I'm gonna save my second set of tires for the eventuality of a caution flag in the second stage and try to do the same thing, Caleb.
Yeah, it's not completely unmanageable. I mean, about 20, actually less than 20 laps of green flag running on those tires. So it's probably worth a gamble, because we did see Greg Evans do that entire first stint, and he was still around the top 5 and was doing pretty well even on a significantly more worn set of tires. So if David's, especially with how much caution laps we've been getting, if David's able to make those tires work and just able to save, he can probably still do very well and still finish in the top 10 of this stage, even despite having 10 lap, probably 10 to 15 laps of green flag running on those tires.
It is possible. Do want to thank our series sponsor, Outland Custom Arms. At Outland Custom Arms, our mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. Outland Custom Arms, and we do want to thank them for their support. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can join in on all of the iRacing fun. We are under caution, the first stage break of the Outland Custom Arms 300 here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Mark Murphy joined, as always, by Caleb Brashear. The Bash brothers are back one more time. Caleb is under different colors now, but the friendship remains, and I'm glad to have Caleb in the booth with me, as always. And congratulations on those new colors, Caleb. That's a huge deal. It'll be interesting to see how long David Dunwoody can hold this. It's about we saw about a half a second differential, Caleb, between new tires and old tires during that last stage, when half the field had new, half the field had old. So we're going to see exactly what transpires here. Barney's got the green flag in hand. David Dunwoody is going to lead him away. Don't spin him up. Green flag is out.
Green flag.
Yeah, David gets a really good jump over Payne Howell on the outside. That allows the number 2 of Greg Evans to look up at the inside of Payne Howell. They go side by side through turns 1 and 2. Greg Evans looks like he's able to get second spot here, but he's got a rolling chicane, as we call it. They go 3 wide for the lead here, Murph.
They're going to split David Dunwoody. They're going to move him back to the 3rd spot, and Greg Evans is going to resume the chase of Payton Howell, and we'll monitor the progress of David Dunwoody, because there's a caution. There's a caution that is Eric Quarter, and we've got a big mess up in turns 3 and 4. Ted Craven is involved. Dylan Blankenship is involved, and we're going to get back and see what has brought out the caution here at lap 50 of the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. And I think we might need a little bit of a different view. There's the 79 of Eric Quarter. He's the monkey in the middle. Hodgson to the inside. He's got the 45 to his outside. That is Trevor Ryan. There's a little bit of door-to-door contact. Around goes Quarter, and then collects Ted Craven, among others. Let's see, that's the 12 of Dylan Blankenship. Randy Dunlap gets a piece of that. Keith Graham also involved. We'll get one more look at it here. Hard hit for Christopher Logan, too. There's Graham into the end of it. So caution is out here in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, and we're going to have a bunch of cars headed toward the pit lane. We are working lap 51 here in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series, but we would be remiss if we didn't take a moment to remember a well-known, well-liked member of the iRacing community. Jim Brooks, one of the founding members of the Area 51 series, passed away last week. Jim Brooks was one of the only men ever to complete the Area 51 Around the World Challenge. That's race in every series on every track in that league. Area 51 is one of the oldest continuously run iRacing leagues, and Jim was a big part of it. I am honored to have called Jim Brooks my friend, and honored to have been called a champion in Area 51 IndyCar competition. And so we will remain silent during lap 51 under caution here in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series from Las Vegas.
Green flag, green flag.
And the green flag comes back out on lap 52. Peyton Howe will streak away from Greg Evans. And the question, Caleb, is going to be how far back is David Dunwoody, going to fall? He's battling to the inside of Greg Evans. He got a pretty good restart there, Caleb.
Up the inside, that's the same thing we saw Greg Evans do on the last restart, and it just depends on how much he's been able to save tire on so far on that 15 to 16 lap stint that we saw earlier. Back in the back, they're almost 4 wide coming off turn 4, but it's just a matter of like how much tire he's able to save over the course of not only the last run but this run, and if he's able to maintain that pace.
Is indeed. You see a car very slow on the bottom of the speedway. That is Dylan Blankenship, and he is going to have the black flag, so he's going to have to come back in to the pit lane. We're looking at Kendall Paul. This is where the action is. Justin Osterman has Crash Neon behind him. Looked as though John Hutchins, Lee Campbell, Chad Meadows, one of the cars behind them, tagged the wall coming out of turn number 4. Crash Neon, though, he's trying not to live up to his name. And when you're racing around a guy named Mr. Excitement, you've got a guy named Crash on the inside, and you've got Mr. Excitement on the outside. If you're Kendall Paul, what do you do here besides hide?
Sometimes that's just the best option. You just hide away from everyone else and hope you make it through. But sometimes it's just sometimes the best way to go about races, just keeping it clean, can get you a really, really well finishing position, especially in a series as with these big fields of 30 to 40 cars. It really plays a big factor.
You know, it most certainly does. David Dunwoody is keeping it clean, but he has dropped it back now to the 7th spot. He wanted to see a caution, but he would have liked to have seen 15 or 20 laps go by before the caution came out. I would reckon that it probably helped him in a way because it helped cool those Goodyear tires off. The bad news is he's still been out for 34 laps, and even though 10 or so of them have been under caution, it's you know, he's still got 25 green flag laps on him, and that's not doing him any favors. Dunwoody now has got trouble in the form of Christian Light. And speaking of Christian Light, how about the charge he's put on? He started 32nd in this race, Caleb. He's made it up to 8th.
Yeah, starting near shotgun on the field, 3rd from last, and he's fighting for a top 10 position at the moment. And I believe we've seen that him do that a couple of times. I believe we saw him do that at Phoenix. So this is not uncommon territory for Christian here to make his way back up towards the front of the field, as we see with many other drivers like that. You know, we see that with Justin Osterman. We see that with Kendall Paul a couple times. Sam Crow, you see a lot of time battle through from the back to the front. So it's not uncommon you see in this series where you see these back to front drives here, Murph.
It's not, and some guys are just not very good qualifiers. Speaking of Sam Crow, he's going to dive to the inside of David Dunwoody going down at turn number 3. Crash Neon is going to try to follow suit, so too Justin Osterman. They're all trying to get past the 28, and Dunwoody right now, he's saying, all right, now I want my caution, right? Because it would force everybody else to either come in and take tires, which they probably wouldn't do, especially the guys that have already taken 2 sets, or it's going to allow him to come down pit road and turn his car into a rocket ship. So Dunwoody, he's got the extra set on the pit wall, but he's paying the price right now already back to the 11th spot. Peyton Howell has driven away at the front of the field. There's the interval, 1.4 seconds back to Greg Evans. And Evans has his buddies with him, Say Lewis Hayes and Ryan O'Donohue, 2, 3, and 4. The DVD Motorsports crew, they're also racing in honor of a fallen friend, John Van Veralis, a longtime competitor in the ISRA series, which you've seen a lot here on P1. John Van Veralis recently passed away, and they're all running in his honor. But those 3 cars right there, Evans, Hayes, and O'Donohue, those are all team cars, and you got to wonder if they've got a plan put together to try to attack Peyton Howell when it comes time to talk turkey at the end of this thing.
Yeah, we saw that a little bit of that last week in Phoenix, where we saw O'Donohue and I believe Greg Evans battle to try to get around Peyton Howell. I believe that's what the situation was. Memory's not too good, but where you saw team orders and you just try to work together to get around the fastest car on track, which is Peyton Howell, and honestly, not only the fastest car on track, the fastest car all season, it seems like. So you got to work together, but you got to keep in mind, like, what is the best strategy for us? How do we get around Peyton Howell in front? What do we need to do? And that's what they're communicating right now over their team chat.
I'm sure they are. Get a little bit further back. Sam Crow is another member of that DVD Motorsports crew, and he's got Justin Osterman and Vance Fisher battling for 8th and 9th. Crash Neon in 10th right behind him. So Sam Crow is also moving toward the front. And that's not a bad day at the beach for a team. If you got 4 cars in the top 7, you're doing a lot right, but you're also right. Peyton Howell has been, my goodness, he's been the dominant car this year. He's leading the points, even though he missed the opening round at Daytona. 2 wins in 3 races, 3 poles. Peyton Howell has been very, very fast. Greg Evans also a race winner this season. Evans 1 point back in 2nd spot. And you've got Riley Lean, who is not here tonight, who is teammates with Peyton Howell. Riley Lean won last week, won the last round here. So there's a lot of speed throughout this field. It's worth noting, too, as we look, I'm going to try to see if we can't find another battle. Field kind of getting strung out. We're looking at The forward-facing 88 of James Hodgson, John Hutchins in the 72, Andrew Jones 46, Sergio Abella in the 21, Kevin Grettenberger. Those cars are racing for 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. They are all right in a line. But Caleb, one of the cool things about the AMA is there's a huge iRating spread in this series. You talk about Peyton Howell, 7,286. That's higher than yours.
Also higher than yours, Murph. Don't call me out on it. Act like it only affects you or only affects me.
Well, mine is higher than yours. I'm a little bit closer. But 70. Let's make no bones about it. 7286 is among the top 100 on the planet. Christian Light in fifth, or excuse me, not Christian Light. Raymond White in sixth, 999 iRating. So you're talking about somebody that in an official would be toward one of the lower splits. So a huge variation in iRating in the series. And it's a testament to the series that they're all able to run closely. They're all able to run competitively. Speaking of competitively, big battle around John Hutchins in 15th. And David Dunwoody has slid back all the way to this pack. He's getting worked over by James Hodgson.
Yeah, David, just seems like the tires are fading away. And one thing that was different between, the first split strategy is that David's got to go a lot longer on these tires than everyone else does. Everybody else was expected to only go about 45 laps. He's expected to go around 55 laps on these tires. So he is really feeling the pain right now, especially considering everybody else is on the different strategy to him.
He is. Now, I will say this. The lap times for Dunwoody are more or less leveled off with the cars that took tires. They're 23 laps old. For everybody else, they're 47 laps old on Dunwoody. Now, remember, there's a ton of caution in there. For Dunwoody, it's not the speed that's the issue so much as the drivability. He just has no mechanical grip in that car right now, Caleb.
Yeah, it just becomes a struggle once the tires are dead and you feel like you're dropping back through the field. It becomes agonizing because you had pace earlier on, and now you just gotta wait through as they almost go three wide for battle here, and he drops cutting there a couple of positions as they go three wide into turn one. It's just one of those things where you just gotta hang on to it and just wait for the stage caution that is eventually going to come out here in about 20 laps time.
Yeah, I mean he's got to make it 19 laps after they cross the stripe, and Dunwoody really just he wants to make it to the stage. He'd love a caution right now because he could pit and nobody else would. He'd rocket back up toward the front, but if it doesn't come out, he's going to have to be content with finishing on the tail end of the lead lap, probably, or close to it, and knowing he'll have a huge advantage if there's a rash of cautions later on in the race. Get you back up front. Peyton Howell is your leader, and there he is in the 52. Greg Evans, followed by his mates, Lewis Hayes and Ryan O'Donohue. They are second, third, and fourth. Christian Light is in fifth, and he is being chased by a hungry Justin Osterman in sixth. Sam Crow is seventh, and then behind them, you've got the battle between Raymond White, Crash Neon, and Vance Fisher, 8th, 9th, and 10th. There they are, and you see Vance Fisher. He works to the inside of Crash Neon. Can't quite make it stick on the bottom, Caleb.
No, he cannot. It's just a bit of different lines. And one thing as the tires start to fade, you'll start to see drivers run a somewhat more middle line. It's just because the tires are so worn out that sometimes it's a bit of a struggle to get to that bottom line. As we see Raymond White get a little bit loose off the corner, Crash Neon looking up the inside of 3 and 4, but it looks like Raymond's going to get the run off the corner and just able, or is he? Crash Neon gets a good run off turn 4, and it looks like he's going to get the position to go side by side coming across the front stretch.
Yeah, Crash Neon uses the bottom, and this is where you see guys that have conserved their tires and guys that haven't. Big wiggle from Raymond White, and let's jump on board with Raymond White so that people at home can see they're not just mashing foot to the floor, turn it left here. Raymond White is a busy man behind the wheel of that 05.
All right, man. Caution.
Caution.
Is out. Caution is out.
David Dunwoody involved. There's Andrew Gates we see from his on board, the 13 of Andrew Gates around. And so we have caution one more time on the Speedway here at Las Vegas. Cautions, of course, brought to you by Admin Box, race control at the touch of a button. And here is the caution. Looked like guys were weaving around back there. Gates gets up into the fence. He comes down, and there's the 46 of Andrew Jones. They collect each other. Gates and Jones both with the meatball. David Dunwoody nowhere to go. He gets tagged by the 16. Hard into the wall for Dunwoody. He's got a black flag. We'll check on that. But caution is out, and let's jump on board with David Dunwoody so that you can see what he sees. Now remember, for the fans at home, this is halftime, Caleb. Off a 2, and it really illustrates how little you can see. There's the smoke. There the cars crashing, and Dunwoody's going to do the sensible thing. He's going to stand on it and keep it high, but you can't predict how those cars are going to ricochet off that inside wall, Caleb.
No, you cannot. It's just one of those things where you just kind of had to hit the brakes and try to predict where the car is going to be. And sometimes it just didn't work out for him that time around. But he's going to have to get that damage repaired. But we talked about tire strategy, but now he's got to try to get his way back towards the front with a damaged car, even with, taking tires on the stop.
Yeah, he drove that car straight to pit lane too. That's the reason for the black flag. He's going to hit the commitment cone as well, but David Dunwoody drove that car right to the pit lane. Caution is on the Speedway. Dunwoody wanted a caution. He didn't want to be the caution, though, and unfortunately he is now a lap down and under significant repair on the pit lane. Seb Driver wants to know, why did the race start earlier? It didn't. It started at 8:35 Eastern, as it always does. Remember, though, that we moved our clocks ahead in the United States an hour. So if you observe daylight savings time, it's 9:30. It's what is it? If you don't observe daylight savings time, you'd be an hour behind us right now, right? I believe that's it, Caleb.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you'd be an hour behind us right now.
Yeah. So if you don't observe daylight savings times, it's 8:30. If you do observe daylight savings time, as most of the United States does, it's 9:30 Eastern, and so that's why you're if you don't observe daylight savings time, that's why the time appears to be off. But that's a great question because we follow Eastern time. The series follows Eastern time, not UDC or Greenwich Mean Time. Great question, though. The chat's been full of great questions, and I keep them coming. Welcome to Luis. David Dunwoody chimes in from his pit box. I always wondered how drivers did that, Caleb. You know who amazes me the most? Robert Malechka, the IndyCar pro. I've seen him write books while he's driving. How does he? Is it? Does he have do you guys have voice chats or voice activated chats or QWERTY keyboards attached to their wheels? How does that work?
Well, I believe in David Dunwoody's case, he did say we're done at the moment, so I believe he is retired, but as well as a few other drivers. But with Malechka, maybe he has those old Xbox 360 controllers with the keypad on it. That's what I like to think he's doing. He just types away on it with his thumbs. I like to think that's what he's doing, but more than likely not.
I do have one of those Xbox 360 controllers with the keyboard attached to it. I don't use it, but I have one. They're an interesting piece of kit. I bought the keyboard at Disc Replay that went in the bottom of the thing for a hot 99 cents a few years ago, just because. The caution is going to be lifted here, 79 laps down, coming to get lap 80. Peyton Howell on the inside. He's got Greg Evans to the outside. Those two have been battling pretty much for an entire season. They'll do battle again here. Green flag is out. Racing resumes from Las Vegas. Nobody pitted at the front. Kevin Grettenberger, Christopher Logan, Mason Muller, Chad Meadows, Randy Dunlap, the only cars that stopped under that last caution. Andrew Gates, Andrew Jones, and David Dunwoody have all retired their cars. Ted Craven is still circulating. He is 6 laps down. But Kevin Grettenberger is already on the move, Caleb.
Yes, he is. He already gained a couple spots on that start. It just shows the tire difference here, those fresh tires, but that will hurt him at the end of the race, having one less set than everybody else. We're seeing 3 wide in the back there. We see a car in the wall. That is the number 6 of Donald Green getting to the wall off 1 and 2, but very, very close action on this restart here, Murph.
It is indeed. Still following the car of Kevin Grettenberger, the number 57. You saw Donald Green clip the wall in the background, the Quaker State-sponsored machine. He's very loose again off of turn number 4. Hold on to her, driver. How many times do you say that to me in a race? Hold on to it, driver.
Usually I just scream at you to just drive better and hit your apexes if Seb Alexander is not in the voice chat. But, yeah, it's been said more than once, we'll say.
It has. Another car that's got tires, Troy Carricker. Shelby, your man's got 4 fresh Mr. Feelgoods on that Chevrolet, and he is coming to the front as well. Carricker and Grettenberger are now 16th and 17th after having restarted 22nd and 23rd, so they are making up spots. They're making up.
Big hit in the wall.
Big slowdown. Justin Osterman. Osterman gets hit again. Osterman around. Big trouble. He's going to get hit by Raymond White. Caution is out. Justin Osterman spinning to the middle of the speedway in turn number 4. Caution is out. That is not what Troy Carricker and Kevin Grettenberger wanted to see, and it's not what Justin Osterman wanted to see either. He shortened the rear end of that Chevrolet by about a foot, and this whole deal went on for about a lap. Yeah, thanks, David. This whole deal started, and it went on for about a lap. You see Osterman, he's racing along with a 96 of Christian Light. Light contact hard into the wall for Osterman. He spins down. Well, he doesn't spin it. He saves it toward the middle of the back straight. Everybody else takes evasive action. And now Osterman's going to go into turn. He's going to go to turn 3. He hits Kendall Paul, shoots back up at the track, and the 0-5 nowhere to go. And now they're in a mess. There goes the television panel. Hard hit for the rear end of Osterman. There are also other cars that are going to be involved here, and I didn't quite catch who. .54 of Michael Kirk takes a hit. Troy Carricker also takes a spin, and he's got some damage. What's happened to Carricker here? See Troy on the bottom. He's going to get a piece of Raymond White. So that was the car that got into Raymond White. And unfortunately, that's a situation nowhere to go for Carricker. And those other cars taking evasive action. And we'll show you what it looks like to be Troy Carricker right here. Caleb, just another one of those nowhere to go. He's doing the right thing. Just made the wrong choice.
Yeah, just so hard to predict sometimes, especially with how fast the closing rates are, especially on these mile and a half, how little amount of time you have to try to predict where, a crashing car is going to go. And just really unfortunate the way it goes out. And one thing we do got to point out, and David Dunway pointing this out in the chat, is these cars did get an update over week 13. And the damage model was slightly updated in terms of how they receive damage on the front and rear bumpers. So I wonder if that is also what we're going to see with a lot of these cars, with not the biggest of contacts, but retiring from them. So I wonder if we're seeing that with these retirements of that update going
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, Justin Osterman on pit lane, he's already gone a lap down. Lee Campbell, Donald Green with meatballs as a result of that action. Um, Osterman is going to have significant repair. It's interesting to note Troy Carricker has not yet stopped. There he is, and it's not Caleb close enough that would have ended the stage. So we're forming up here. We're going to get a four lap dash to see who takes Blackmagic Studios stage break number 2. Do want to thank Outland Custom Arms. At Outland Custom Arms, their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That's Outland Custom Arms. My 1911 hadn't sank with my boat, Caleb, I'd have him work on the trigger. That's for sure.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. But pace car lights are out, and we should get going green for a very, very short all-out finish of stage number 2.
We should. The car you see smoking on pit lane, that's Donald Green, and that tells me the engine is blown
Green,
on
green,
that
green.
machine. The green flag is out, and away we go. Peyton Howell, Greg Evans, they're going to do battle in a 4-lap dash for Blackmagic Studios stage number 2. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Howell? Is it going to be Evans? Is it going to be Ryan O'Donoghue? He's snuck in there, and he's going to try to establish a presence for that top spot as well. But Evans and Howell tight now for that top spot.
Greg on the outside. We seen him run that line earlier. Peyton Howell has not left the bottom the entirety of this race. Oh, they get really close in the middle of 4 there. They make contact again, go through the front stretch. Peyton Howell has got a run behind them. They're going to set it 3 wide.
Here comes O'Donoghue to the bottom. No, he didn't have enough. He didn't have quite the angle he needed, but Ryan O'Donoghue very nearly snuck that car to the bottom and made it 3 wide. He did make it 3 wide for the lead briefly, but we're fixing to have a battle here, Caleb. We've got 2 more laps in the stage. Ryan O'Donoghue has a ringside seat, and this is about to be as good as it gets, I think.
It could be. Meanwhile, we're still 3 wide in the back there. That I see Sam Crow in the middle, Vance Fisher, and Candell Paul going 3 wide, coming off turn 2. They're still 3 wide on the backstretch. Candell Paul backs out of it. Sam Crow looks like he's able to prevail in that tight battle there.
Yeah, there you go. And you're looking at it from the P1 airship, still 3 wide. Kendall Paul on the bottom, James Hodgson on the top. 57 of Kevin Gretberger. Remember, Gretberger's got new tires on that 57 machine, but he can't quite make it work. They've got everything cooled off, and they've got everything moving. They've got everything cooled off, so they'll drive like they're new for at least 2 or 3 laps. And once they get heated up, they'll lose grip, of course. Around comes Peyton Howell leading Greg Evans, and hey, Lewis Hayes has dropped to the bottom of Ryan O'Donoghue. There they come across the line, complete lap 90, and we should be getting a caution
All right, man. Caution is out.
anytime now, and that is the end of Blackmagic Studios stage number 2. Blackmagic Studios are a small operation dedicated to high-quality iRacing paints and wraps for any car. You can visit them on Discord or Facebook for your next high-quality iRacing paint or wrap. Blackmagic Studios. If you ever want to see what their work looks like, you can take a look at the Indy Alliance Racing 69 anytime it is on the virtual Speedway, and I can personally vouch for the quality of David Dunwoody's work. He's a pretty good dude. So I got to ask the question. So I've got to ask the question. So Caleb, a couple of years ago, with the resumption of Indy cars on iRacing, i5G changed their paint to kind of the camo look that they have now. Who painted that car? Because it's a sharp looking hot rod.
I believe so. I don't know if Brendan's the one that gave me and Logan's paint, but I don't know if he was the one that came up with the original design of it per se. But I tell you what, it hasn't been revealed. I haven't revealed it to anybody what my livery looks like, but I gotta say, out of all the i5G liveries, I'd say Trano is the best. He's got a really nice red and black kind of if you remember Black Ops 2, there was a camo called Bloodlust in that game. It looks very, very similar to that. It looks very, very sharp. And I would say mine is right up there with his in terms of what it looks like. It is a very beautiful car as we see all the cars come down pit lane to take some Sunoco fuel and a 4 set of fresh Goodyears.
There you go. Everybody is going to hit the pit lane. Nobody is going to stay out on this one except for Christian Light. He remains on the speedway. Now, he stopped just 8 laps ago, so Christian Light is going to stay out. Everybody else has hit the pit lane. Off goes Kevin Grettenberger, and Grettenberger only in his stall 6.2 seconds. That tells me that Kevin Grettenberger only took tires, or only took fuel, excuse me. He took no tires.
Yeah, it's slightly shorter than just taking right sides or left sides. So I'm like you said, probably only took fuel there unless his picker decided to have an absolutely incredible pit stop there of less than 7 seconds. Peyton Howe Greg Evans got around Peyton Howe in the pit lane there, Murph.
Yeah, he did, and that's something that's worth mentioning. Even though the mechanics are all exactly the same, it matters how you get into your box. It matters where you stop. It matters where in the box you are when your car finally stops as to how fast your pit stop is. Greg Evans was able to get around Peyton Howe on the pit lane, and so Evans is going to restart third, Howe fourth. Now, that doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but I assure you it is. And the reason, Caleb, is the one place on the earth that I do not want to start or restart a race is second on the outside. It is the hardest place in iRacing to restart. The easiest place to restart is not the lead, it's actually third. Because all you got to do is wait for the guy in front of you to hit the gas. You can visually see it. The guy on the outside cannot very well see the car to his inside, and so he's always delayed just a little bit. That's why you see the car in third often be second after a restart. It's just because it's hard to see the guy on the inside. You can't see him. You can hear him before you can see him, really. Because these cars, they don't have great vision. We'll get on board with Kevin Grettenberger, and this is what he sees. It's not a lot, Caleb.
No, especially we always say it's hard in the IndyCar to see what the car to the left of you. You even have less visual to your left and right in these big bulky gray national stock cars. But Kevin Grettenberger, if he wants to keep out in front, especially with these slightly worn tires, he's going to have to get a really, really, really good restart and get a really good jump on the start
green
here.
Green flag.
He is indeed. We're going to jump up in the Mike Rigney seat in the luxury box. Across the start-finish line they come. Christian Light leads them away. Greg Evans, as predicted, gets into second. Grettenberger has already dropped back to fourth, and Greg Evans is going to go to work on Christian Light, and that is almost immediate. Greg Evans to the lead. He's got Peyton Howe behind him.
Battle for the lead here. Effectively, Peyton Howe and Greg Evans on those fresh tires. But Christian Light has not backed down. He gets a really good run off, and they're going to go 3 wide coming across the start finish line. Peyton Howe's below the apron. Oh, this is going to get dicey going into turn 1.
They hold it 3 wide. Powell goes to the lead. Evans will claim the bottom on Christian Light. And this is exactly what Peyton Howe wants to see. He wants to see Greg Evans fighting hard with somebody that's not him, burn up the tires on the deuce, so Peyton Howe can just saunter away in the lead.
Yeah, Christian Light really making that outside line work even with those slightly worn tires. He's actually still holding on to second. He actually cleared Greg Evans off turn 4 and onto the front stretch. Christian is really making these tires work, and it looks like he's almost getting a run on our leader here, Murph.
Yeah, he is. Christian Light held off the charge from Greg Evans, and he's going to move it to the high side of Peyton Howell, and we're going to see if Christian Light can take the lead. That's one of those. That's one of those danger close cars, along with Donald Green. Green is out of the race. Christian Light taking the challenge to Peyton Howell here.
He got really loose off 4 last time around. Barely tapped the wall there. No damage, though. He's still making that outside work. Peyton Howell got a little bit loose off the corner. They go side by side going into turn number 3, and that allows Greg Evans to catch back up. Christian Light really loose through 3 and 4 there.
He is sawing on the wheel. Greg Evans will dive his number 2 Chevrolet, affectionately known in AMA circles as the Deuce, to the bottom, and he'll claim second spot now from Christian Light. And Greg Evans knows what he's doing. He's won this race twice. Kendall Paul has also won here. Adam O'Brien is the other winner. We've been to Las Vegas 4 times in the AMA. Fastest race lap in the series held by David Dunwoody at 29.919. That was set 2 Februarys ago in the inaugural running. Dunwoody, of course, out of the race. We've got 25 runners on the track. Lee Campbell, Donald Green, Raymond White, David Dunwoody, Andrew Gates, Andrew Jones, Parker Lindemann, Dylan Blankenship, and Eric Quarter have all retired. And now Ryan O'Donoghue will go past Christian Light. And Christian Light is starting to feel the effects of being on those older tires. It's only 8 laps, and some of that's under caution, but it's definitely affecting him here. Caleb.
Just a little bit. Not as bad as what we saw earlier with Dunwoody on those tires. As we see Ryan O'Donoghue force him make a big send up the inside of turn 1, get that second place spot. Greg Evans drops back to third, and now he has Christian Light, even on those slightly worn tires, make an outside run on him. Now it looks like Ryan O'Donoghue is going to try to fight for the lead here, Murph.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you're Peyton Howell, look, O'Donoghue, Evans, teammates, right? You know, they can kind of coordinate here. One of them take a shot at you, step back, cool the tires off. Next man up, O'Donoghue. He's going to ride. He's going to rim ride, not on the bottom. He's going to go around the middle of the racetrack, not around the top, but around the middle and into the lead for Ryan O'Donoghue. And Peyton Howell, he's going to fight right back on the inside, see if he can't get him back through 3 and 4.
What a move from Ryan O'Donoghue, really just sticking it to the outside, got a really good run through the corner, and now that allows him to have clean air over the rest of the field here and just manage the tires a little bit better. This is a position Peyton Howell hasn't been in the entire night of being in second here. He's going to have to fight dirty air as well. That's something he hasn't experienced that much throughout the course of his race here.
No, it isn't, and look, the thing for Peyton Howell is O'Donoghue is running the middle line. He's running what we would call lane 2. Peyton Howell has married. If he I won't say married. If he gets any closer to that white line at the bottom, he's going to have to buy it a dinner and a couple of drinks. He is right on the bottom, and now Greg Evans, he's going to move to the middle. He's been loyal to that bottom. He saw his teammate go around lane 2. Greg Evans is going to look to do the same. Peyton Howell has not faced this much heat throughout the entirety of the event, but he's fallen to second, and Greg Evans is right there trying to take it away from him.
Yes, he is. Peyton Howell just about 1 to 2 car lengths in front of Greg Evans, as we see Peyton Howell increase his gap over the 2 of them, and they've increased their gap massively over Christian Light. Christian on these slightly older tires, still in 4th, but is dropping back just slightly from our leaders. Meanwhile, Greg Evans and Peyton Howell are doing battle for the second place spot here.
Do want to kind of point out something to our fans at home. Watch the different lines here. Peyton Howell, the car in front, the Toyota Supra. Greg Evans in the Chevrolet, the Deuce behind him. Watch how different their lines are. Peyton Howell, much more shallow on entry. Again, right against that white line on the bottom. Greg Evans, much later entry. He's about a lane and a half higher than Peyton Howell, and he gets a much better run down the straightaways. Which one is going to be better over the long haul here? Ryan O'Donoghue has used that middle lane to get to the lead. But can Peyton Howell ride the bottom back to the front? We're about to find out. But look at the difference in the lines. I mean, these are two completely different ways to drive here at virtual Las Vegas, Caleb.
Yes, it is. Typically, the outside line will wear the tires more, but you're able to carry so much more speed around the corners. It may not be a long strategy run that Ryan O'Donohue or Greg Evans are doing, but Peyton Howell is thinking long term. You see him married to that white line on the bottom there. He is doing max tire saving at the moment. Ryan O'Donohue is trying to do a bit of pace setting at the moment and try to pull away as much as he can. And you see him now slightly taking about a half a lane up through turns 1 and 2. Greg Evans has got a really good run on Peyton Howell here.
Yes, he is. Greg Evans is going to go all the way to the bottom, and Peyton Howell now all the way up against the outside wall, trying to hold off Greg Evans. Big loose for Peyton Howell. Greg Evans is trying to go toward the front. We'll get on board. Well, that didn't work. I wanted this shot on Greg Evans. It's the Robbie Gordon cam off the rear spoiler of Evans. Peyton Howell will retain second spot. But I think that might be a strategic move for Evans as Peyton Howell goes back to the lead. That might have been a strategic move for Evans. Try to make Peyton Howell get up there and use up his stuff a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely a strategy indeed. Obviously, with the banking of Las Vegas, it's so steep, it'll wear out your right sides just a little bit more than the other mile and a half that we go to because of how fast you're going into these corners. They got a lap car in front. That's something we also got to consider. Oh, that's getting right in front. That's Troy Carricker getting in the way of our leaders. Doesn't mean anything by it, but it just kind of separates them a little bit there.
Yeah, Troy Carricker has been trying to repair the damage that he got in that last smash-up. He has not been able to get it all fixed. You see the front of his Chevrolet is severely damaged, and a tough break for Troy Carricker, not involved in anything of his own doing, and yet he's rolling around damaged in 20th. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be involved in all of our high-quality iRacing fun. Kendall Paul and Sam Crow, they're slugging it out for 6. Kendall Paul has dropped to the bottom, and he'll drop underneath Sam Crow. Crow's going to try to fight back. He's in lane 2, just like the rest of his DVD Motorsports teammates.
Yes, he is. Sam Crow looks like he has a bit of a run here this straightaway. We'll see if he's able to get alongside through turns 1 and 2. He really sends it in deep, but Calendo Paul holds about half lane up. That's going to push dirty air onto Sam Crow, and it's not as effective as what we see in many air cars, but it's still something you slightly feel in these big, bulky Grand National stock cars.
Yeah, it most certainly is. Kendall Paul is trying.
Oh, we got wreck in turn 4, Murph.
All right, man. Caution is out.
Caution out. James Hodgson hard. He's going to collect another vehicle. That is the 24 of Mason Muller. Hard contact. Caution is back out on the speedway one more time here at Las Vegas. And let's take a look and see what has happened. I don't think it starts with James Hodgson, or does it? It starts with a 24 of Mason Muller. So, there's Muller, and we need to go back. We need to go back just a little bit more for Mason Muller. So there he is at the very top, and he's getting the air taken off of the spoiler there, the 24, from James Hodgson. Or not James Hodgson, John Hutchins. It wiggles, it wiggles, it dances, it wiggles, and then poor Kevin Gruttenberger, nowhere to go. Same for the 20. That is Luke Reed. Same for James Hodgson. Hodgson is going to come back up into the wall, and he is going to collect the 40. Oh, golly. That is the 45 of Trevor Ryan. Hard contact for those cars. Poor Trevor Ryan. He did, he's one of those, again, just wrong place, wrong time. Guys get sideways, and boom, you're junked and you're done. And poor Trevor Ryan has already towed his machine back to the pit lane. And again, just nowhere. He thinks right now he's got it missed, Caleb. He's like, I'm just going to stand on the brakes and they'll wreck down to the bottom. And here comes James Hodgson. Boom.
Yeah, we just unfortunate circumstances. Again, a situation where you try as much as you want to avoid the wreck, and it's just one of those things where you can't get it stopped in time. But we see the entire field come down pit lane here, Murph, and this. I don't think they can make it to the end here. I think they're going to have to do another stop after this. They're just going to put on some 4 fresh tires and go for it here, Murph.
Yeah, you're going to want 4 tires here for certain, sure. We've seen the effect of those. Remember, though, some of these guys are down a set. Peyton Howell, in particular, he's down a set on Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donohue, Say Lewis Hayes, and Sam Crow, the cars who are chasing him. And so Howell needs to be careful. There's going to come a point here where Peyton Howell may not be able to stop for tires. By my count, he had to stop midway in the first stage, then the 2 stage breaks. Now this one, he's only got 1 set left.
Yeah, I don't think they could go from the end from here. Typically a fuel stand is about 65 to 70 laps here. We're about 85 right now, so you're gonna have about 10 to 15 lap run at the end, in which, unless you somehow pull off a miraculous fuel save for this last duration of the race, or even if a caution comes out and you come down pit lane and take another set of tires and get enough fuel, well, then we get another caution after that. Well, now you're kind of like a saying done, and now everybody else has a fresher set of tires, and they're just gonna. We saw with the earlier parts of the race how much new tires, even 5 to 10 laps, affects the handling of the car and how much pace it is over everybody else. So it's a gamble. If we go green to the end and he takes that one last pit stop, he should be fine. But if we do get those cautions, it's going to be a little bit rough for him.
It most certainly can be. Do want to thank our series sponsor, Outland Custom Arms. Their mission is to provide hunters and outdoor sportsmen with precision-crafted firearms rooted in Oregon's rugged legacy. Every build is hand-tuned for performance, reliability, and the uncompromising pursuit of the perfect shot. That is Outland Custom Arms. Also want to thank AMA sponsors Archway Industrial Coatings, Admin Box, Track Racer, Blackmagic Studios, Rogue Energy, and Simshop for their support of the American Motorsport Association. Peyton Howell, Greg Evans, Ryan O'Donohue, Say Lewis Hayes at the front. Where have we heard that before, Ryan? Here we go one more time.
Green, green, green.
Green flag is out. Racing resumes, and Peyton Howell, as he does so often, gets the jump on everybody else. He'll streak out to about a 5-car length advantage over O'Donohue and Evans. O'Donohue gets clear of Evans, and he will now give chase to our leader, Peyton Howell. Meanwhile, behind him, Say Lewis Hayes and Sam Crow, they're in a fight for 4th and 5th. Kendall Paul and Crash Neon lined up right behind them. They're trying to get through, and here comes Christian Light back on the same tires as everybody else, Caleb.
Yes, we do. They come side by side off the corner. That is Crash Neon, Kendall Paul going side by side. They're still side by side on the front stretch here, and Crash Neon able to pull just a little bit over Kendall Paul, but that allows Christian Light to make a move on Crash Neon, as Crash Neon now looks up the inside of Sam Crow into turns 3 and 4.
He did indeed. You rode on board with Christian Light, saw what he saw. Crash Neon, and Neon sideways off a turner before he gathers it back in and saves it. But that's going to cost him his battle with Crow, and it's going to cost him a spot to Christian Light. Christian Light moves himself into the 6th spot, and he'll give chase to up to Sam Crow. Meanwhile, the front of this field remains more or less as it was. Peyton Howell has streaked away to a 3/4 second lead over Ryan O'Donohue, then Greg Evans, Say Lewis Hayes, and Sam Crow. So the DVD Motorsports gang is all together. But here comes Christian Light. He has now closed the gap to Sam Crow, and he's bringing Kendall Paul with him.
Yes, he is behind them. Crash Neon, John Hutchins now making a move on Crash Neon. He looks up the inside. Crash holding the outside line through turns 1 and 2. They're still side by side through turns 3 and 4. They go down the backstretch. This is the battle for the 8th position. Crash has a little bit over the advantage. He's going to hold that outside line, get a really good run on the exit of turn 4 here. Oh, they got really close there. Crash hits the wall very hard there. He's going to lose another spot, it looks like, to Sergio Alba as they go through turns 1 and 2.
Yes, they will. A little bit of technical malfunctions with ATVO there, but Crash Neon has lost the spots to Hutchins and Alba. Neon falling back. We're going to check out the replay here. There you see Hutchins getting by and Neon very high through 3 and 4. And I believe he's going to run out of real estate right about now. Boom. So there's Crash Neon, and that's what's happened to him. Meanwhile, at the front, Ryan O'Donohue has caught or is rapidly catching Peyton Howell.
Now, one thing you also got to think about: how much are these drivers saving fuel at the moment? I think it's just outside, as I said earlier, of making it to the end here. But you still got to save your tires. You still got to save your fuel. So you got to think, how many of these drivers are pushing right now, and how many of these drivers are going to pit, pretty soon here. The fuel window is actually going to open up in about 7 laps time here. So if they did want to make a pit stop that can go to the end of the race, they can do that and try to get a jump over the rest of the field here. Or do they go to the end of the fuel stint and try to get the fresh tires at the very end?
Well, you're going to see all kinds of strategy here. You're going to see drivers, and Peyton Howell pulls over, and Ryan O'Donohue goes past. There's a problem for Peyton Howell. His speed dropped dramatically. That almost looks like he hit the kill switch on his rig, Caleb.
He hit the brake in the middle of the corner there in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't know. It almost looked like he hit the kill switch, or he hit the. I mean, it would be hard to do given the spacing of pedals, but maybe hit the brakes instead of the gas. I don't know, or maybe his brake pedal malfunctioned. There's a sensor or something going haywire in that machine. Whatever the reason, Ryan O'Donohue gets a 1 second advantage, and Greg Evans will now begin to work over Peyton Howell for second. We're going to jump back because this is the best battle on the track. Say hey, Lewis Hayes in 4th, Sam Crow 5th, Christian Light 6th. They are right together, and they are getting after it for that 4th spot. And everything seems fine with Peyton Howell now, though. I was looking at the telemetry, on Peyton Howell. He seems to be back up to full song now. But that was interesting, Caleb. Interesting indeed.
I'm not tempted to say it's like a malfunction there. It almost looked like it was manual a little bit with how the brake. It definitely was. The brake was definitely applied. He went down to 140 miles an hour. You don't get that just naturally rolling and take your foot off the accelerator. So it's just very, very weird how that happened, and still kind of we'll have to see what actually happened after the race here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely ask him about that. Meanwhile, they've started to reel in Ryan O'Donohue. It was a second. It's now down to about 3/4 of a second. So Peyton Howell has got the whip to that number 52 Toyota Supra, and he is closing back in on the leader, Ryan O'Donohue. I was just about to make the point when that happened that we're going to see some varying strategies here. We're going to see somebody cut this in half. We're going to see somebody try to short pit it. We're going to see all sorts of different stuff happen before we get to the end of this. Before we get to the end of this situation, and when you make that final stop is going to dictate who wins this race. Because no matter what, you're going to lose a lap here if you make a pit stop. So, do you stop early? Do you stop late in the window? Do you cut it in half? What would be your call here, Caleb?
You know what we could also consider here, Murph? Do they take 4 or 2 tires? We might see a bit of strategy with some drivers only take 2 tires. I think typically I always do the strategy of have the freshest tires at the end of the race. That's typically what I've always done, and that's just because if a caution comes out, you could just go. You could get a jump on the field and you could just send it. That's typically what my mindset is where you try to do that overcut. One thing I would consider is doing the two-tire strategy. You save about 7 seconds on pit lane. We're estimating you have to do about 10 laps on a stint of tires. So maybe the 7 seconds worth it to do about 10 to 15 laps on only doing a right side of tires or just right sides only.
Yeah, and that's something to consider too. Are you going to take rights only? We've seen guys take lefts only because they're handling impacts. This is a fixed setup series after all, as we watch Sam Crow and say, hey, Lewis Hayes. But the battle for the lead is about to intensify. Peyton Howell is there. He's caught Ryan O'Donoghue, and they're going to work that battle one more time. O'Donoghue in the middle of the track, Peyton Howell on the bottom. And you wonder if O'Donoghue has already cooked the tires on that 14. Peyton Howell down to the apron, not quite enough steam that time. If I was Ryan O'Donoghue, I would have tried to have run the bottom just to make Peyton Howell do something different. Just to make Peyton Howell do something different. He doesn't. He's able to maintain the lead, but I got it. And there he goes. Now Peyton Howell goes to the top. He gets to the wall.
He hits the wall. He hits the wall. That's going to allow Greg Evans on the inside.
Yes, he is. So now it's a DVD Motorsports 1-2. Peyton Howell back to third, and he's immediately going to go back to work on Greg Evans.
Greg Evans on the inside. Peyton Howell in a lane that he's not used to, running lane 2. He's following Ryan O'Donoghue in front, but he's able to get back around Greg Evans. And one thing you also got to consider with that little mistake, probably didn't cause damage to the car, but he's going to have to work those tires to get back around Ryan O'Donoghue. It's probably going to
caution.
And as we caution back on the speedway.
Michael Kirk, Keith Graham, hard impact at the rear of the field. Caution is on the speedway. One more time, working lap 135 of 200. And here it is, the 54 and the 09. Michael Kirk just came up. I think he was going to try to come up and draft Keith Graham, just wasn't clear. Hooks the 09, and both of those cars just clobber. I mean, they clobber that cutout there where the ambulance you see parked in the background is. Let's go back and take a ride with Keith Graham. I want to show the fans at home what this looks like when you hit something this hard in iRacing. So here's Graham. He's coming off the corner, and that's where the car is right at its lightest. You see him straighten up the wheel, and there's absolutely nothing you can do here. And just bam. That is so hard, and if you've got a wheel that's got any kind of force feedback in it, Fanatec Podium, Higher and Moses, Sim Magic, you feel that in your hands. It hurts.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have my force feedback turned down on my SemiCube, so yeah, I don't feel it very much. But we are seeing pit cycle happen. They should be able to go to the end here on fuel. And we see some big players staying out on track here, Murph.
We do indeed. So, Peyton Howell, Greg Evans, Sam Crow, Sergio Abella, Vance Fisher, Brian Sharp, well, they've stayed out. Ryan O'Donoghue, the first car down the pit lane, he is going to come out in the 7th spot, roughly, lap 136 of 200. Now, theoretically, those cars are going to be able to make it the distance with about 65 laps to go. However, their tires are going to be begging for mercy when the caution flag, if they have to run it all the way through. We think Howell, Evans, Crow, Abella, Fisher, and Sharp are going to have to stop. Right? They're still not going to be able to make this, and they're going to want tires anyway. Remember, though, Peyton Howell is down to his last set, so his hand is forced. He can't stop again until he absolutely has to. Greg Evans has an extra set, but he's elected not to take it, so too Sam Crow. Brian Sharp, there he is. And let's get a closer look at that number 125 machine. It's a good-looking Chevrolet Camaro for Brian Sharp. He's up to the 6th spot, and this is the highest position he has had in AMA competition in either series all year, Caleb. So great to see Brian Sharp at the pointy end of the field, but he's going to have Ryan O'Donoghue lined up right behind him.
Yes, he will. And to me, the cars out in front are basically begging for a caution. We know basically everybody from O'Donoghue back can make it to the end. We know they can make it to the end of fuel. If they go green to the end, they're pretty much going to be at the front. Everybody else is going to have to pit. If the caution comes out and they're able to just hold on, as long as they can with these tires, and that caution comes out, then it's going to be a dogfight to the end, and they're still going to be in contention. I believe Greg Evans, he was originally going to come down pit lane, but he saw Peyton Howell back out, and he decided to follow suit. So we see a split strategy between Ryan O'Donoghue and Greg Evans, the two teammates. So should be a interesting restart here, Murph.
It most certainly should be. We're getting ready to end the admin box caution, 137 down, getting ready to start 138 here at Las Vegas. You're watching the Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series from the AMA live on P1. It's Murph, it's Caleb Brashear. The Bash Brothers are with you until the end tonight. Green flag back out. Racing resumes at Las Vegas. Peyton Howell gets the jump, and let's watch Ryan O'Donoghue and see how long this takes him. He's already by Brian Sharp on the bottom, and it's not going to take very long. The 21-lap differential on the tires to Ryan O'Donoghue's advantage. He's going to go high on Vance Fisher, and here we go.
Ryan O'Donoghue, we've seen him the entire night work that second lane to the high line, and it looks like he's going to make that 3 wide-ish coming down the front stretch. No, he gets the door closed on him from the 21 of Sergio Abella, but he still rocks that second lane. Now he's looking a fender up the inside of Sergio. They go 3 wide off the backstretch. He gets a run off the corner. They're going to make it 3 wide going into turn 3.
One thing Ryan O'Donoghue needs right here, he needs to be patient. We've seen him in these situations before, and he's not been as patient as he could have been. Ryan O'Donoghue right now needs to just understand, look, I've got a huge advantage. I know I'm going to catch the leaders. I don't need to wad this thing up getting through traffic. Sam Crow, his teammate's going to let him through, and now it's down to catching the leaders. Greg Evans and Peyton Howell, they're going to go side by side for the lead, and we're going to take the best seat in the house, which is in Ryan O'Donoghue's helmet. Evans on the bottom, Howell on the top. O'Donoghue rockets through 3 and 4, and he is there.
Yes, he is. That's one thing that Ryan O'Donoghue wanted. He wanted his teammate Greg Evans to try to hold up Peyton Howell as much as they can. Ryan O'Donoghue is now looking the outside of his teammate. Now he's going to get a really good run off turn 2. He's going to look on the outside. Peyton Howell defends the inside coming off turn 2. Ryan O'Donoghue has the high line, and he's just going to sail around the outside coming up through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, there's no way for
Ryan O'Donoghue to the lead.
Yeah, there's no way for Peyton Howell to stop that. The tire differential is too great. O'Donoghue blazes past and into the lead, and now it's going to be a question of, can Greg Evans get past Peyton Howell for second? Sam Crow has moved into the fourth spot, and somebody down there, give a call to John Hutchins. Hutchins is on tires, so too Crash Neon and Christian Light, and they're coming on Sam Crow. To the outside goes John Hutchins.
John Hutchins is, meanwhile, we see Christian Light try to make a move on the apron there of Crash Neon. This is a close little battle for the fourth place spot here. John Hutchins looks like he's able to take that fourth place spot around the outside of Sam Crow. Sam Crow is now dropping back significantly from where he started, and now he's got Crash Neon and Christian Light. Christian Light making a move around the outside. Sam Crow is really struggling for grip here, Murph.
He is. Neon's going to go to the outside. He chose wrong. He chose to get behind Sam Crow. That allowed Christian Light through. Light very, very fast. He's pulled up on the back of John Hutchins. Those cars both on tires. Crow is not. Neon is. Kendall Paul has fresh tires. Chad Meadows and Luke Reed, the remainder of the top 10 do. Peyton Howell, Greg Evans, and Sam Crow are without fresh rubber, and they are paying the price. Peyton Howell, Greg Evans nearly loses it coming off of turn number 4. He does the dirt track. He dirt tracks that car. That's going to let Christian Light through. Light immediately goes to work on Peyton Howell. They're going to door slam each other. Christian Light, look at the 96 run. He's going to go to second here.
Peyton Howell still has the outside line. Greg Evans is going to slot in behind him, but Christian Light able to clear going into 3, and now that allows Crash Neon to try to make a move on the outside of Greg Evans. Crash Neon has the run off the corner. He clears Greg Evans. Now he's looking in front towards Peyton Howell. That allows John Hutchins from behind to try to get a move on Greg Evans, and he's able to hold the outside on him.
Yes, he is. Peyton Howell has maintained the 3rd spot, but he has got a snarl of fresh tires behind him, and that's led by Crash Neon. Neon dives to the bottom. He'll go past the 52. Here comes John Hutchins to the inside. Kendall Paul is around Greg Evan. He wants to get him some of that. And if they can fall in behind Kendall Paul, I think those 3 are going to be safe for a little bit. Chad Meadows is about a second behind him, and the tires are going to start to level off here within the next 4 or 5 laps. Kendall Paul on the bottom. He's trying to get around Peyton Howell while the getting's good. Can't quite make it stick. Howell in the dirty air of Hutchins. And there goes Kendall Paul. Now, it's important to remember, we talked about the DVD Motorsports teammates. Kendall Paul and John Hutchins are teammates as well. So you got to remember that too. Those cars are in communication. Crash Neon, he's an independent. Christian Light with the Danger Close Racing team. His teammate Donald Green is out of the event. We only have 20 cars running, 16 cars on the lead lap, and Brian Sharp, who stayed out in that round, is the last car on the lead lap, and I would bet we're going to see Brian Sharp be the first one to blink here and come on and get some new tires. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you too can be involved in all of the iRacing fun here on P1. You're watching the Outland Custom Arms AMA Grand National Series. Crash Neon just went around Kendall Paul for the 3rd spot. Kendall Paul has gotten around Hutchins for 4th, move Hutchins back to 5th, and they are already a second clear of Howell, Evans, and Crow, who are right in the line, and they're about to fall into the clutches of Chad Meadows.
Yeah, we see the group that group of cars that decide to stay out are falling to the back of the field, significantly off pace of what our leaders can do here. But it is a strategy that they chose to do. Peyton Howell defending the inside against Greg Evans as they go through 3 and 4th. They're 3 wide behind them, but to me, they're pretty much begging for a caution. That way, they can put on the last set of tires that they have. Meanwhile, everybody else wants it to stay green. If it stays green, they can pretty much just coast from this point and not have to worry about the 2 most dominant drivers of the day of Greg Evans and Peyton Howell.
Well, and if you're Ryan O'Donohue, you're saying stay green, baby, stay green. Kendall Paul has gone past Christian Light. Now John Hutchins is going to try to follow suit in the 72, and Crash Neon is right there as well. So, we'll get on board Crash Neon. Look, It's an interesting call. For me, Peyton Howell's bed was made when he stopped for tires under that first yellow at lap 22 or so. His bed was made with the strategy. We knew that was going to cost him a set, and we knew that he was only going to have 1 set left. If something happened in the final stage, he wasn't going to be able to take advantage. For Greg Evans, I think it was a case of monkey see, monkey do. He saw Peyton Howell stay out. He said, I'll stay out too. Sam Crow stayed out, maybe to protect Evans. And now, they're paying the price. John Hutchins all over the wall coming out of turn 2, and Crash Neon is going to pull right up on his rear bumper. We're also seeing, Caleb, the cars migrate to the top of the speedway now that the tires have got some wear. We're approaching 20 laps.
Yes, we are, and that's just it's just because the car is significantly handling worse than what it did on the fresher tires. It's not. Sometimes it's by choice. Sometimes you just want to carry as much speed as you can on the outside. But when you do, creep up into that second lane, that third lane, you are going to wear the tires significantly more than if you were just going to run the bottom. And we see a lot of these cars at the front of the pack running that middle lane. So they are full push mode at the moment. And you see Ryan O'Donoghue, he's ran that second lane. Now he's kind of actually running the bottom now for the lead. But you're going to see all these you're going to see all these drivers they know they have to make it to the end of these set of tires, but so they don't want to absolutely destroy them. But running that second lane, that middle lane, is going to hurt them.
It is. You're looking at Ryan O'Donoghue, and he has the best seat in the house. He's 2.9 seconds ahead of this man, Kendall Paul. Kendall Paul has got a 1 second advantage, 1.2 seconds over Christian Light, and Christian Light has got trouble. John Hutchins and Crash Neon are all over his back door for that third spot. For O'Donoghue, Paul, Light, Hutchins, and Neon, they do not want the caution. They want this thing to play green because they do not need to stop. If you're Greg Evans, Sam Crow, and Peyton Howell, this crew right here, you've got two problems. You've got old tires, a little bit into the wall for Greg Evans there. You got old tires, and you also, my guess is, are having to save a little bit of fuel to try to make it to the end of this puppy. So those cars, they're in trouble from a couple of different perspectives. Old tires and save gas if they're going to try to make it to the end. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays. I'm interested to see how this battle for third shapes up. O'Donoghue and Kendall Paul are clear. O'Donoghue is about anywhere from a half a tenth to a tenth a lap quicker than Kendall Paul. But these guys for third spot, they're letting a rough side drag, Caleb.
Yeah, they've been going at it, and that's actually just cost them time to Peyton Howell, of all people. Those guys are on older tires, but they've actually gained about 2/10 over the past couple laps because they've been fighting so much for this third place spot. The more you fight, the more it's going to slow you up. So at this point, if you're getting later and later into the run, we're just over 40 laps remaining in this race, you got to realize, okay, I get it, it's a long stint, but we got to work together if we don't want to lose to the rest of the field and let drivers like Kendall Paul and Ryan O'Donoghue get completely pull away from the field.
Yeah, I mean, to illustrate your point, for a couple of laps, John Hutchins, Christian Light, those cars were in the 32 fours. Peyton Howell run along 32 flat. That allowed Peyton Howell and Greg Evans, those guys, to pull back in. Now, John Hutchins has gotten past Christian Light, and so move Hutchins into third, Christian Light fourth, and a big slide for him coming off of turn 2, and that's going to let Crash Neon move to the inside. Neon, more known as an open-wheel driver, he's doing pretty good with fenders and a roof here. He'll move in to the fourth spot around the bottom of Christian Light. And Christian Light, you see the wheel he saw in that car coming off of turn number 4, Caleb.
I reckon he's starting to feel the tires wear a little bit as you see Crash Neon clear him for the fourth place spot. We saw him very, very quick earlier in the stint. Now I bet he's starting to feel that wear just a little bit here, Murph.
Yeah, let's jump on board with him and just look. We saw how steady the wheel was for Greg Evans, for Peyton Howell earlier. Christian Light, it's not steady. I think he's got the right front hot, and I think the right rear is really angry. And you can see him he is not comfortable in that 96 right at the moment. Anytime you see a guy slicing the wheel back to the right like that, that's not a good feeling, Caleb.
No, it isn't. And all that is you're just going to wear the tire even more. The best way to save tires is to not move the wheel at all if you can. Just kind of let the car naturally go through the corner. If you're sawing at the wheel like that, you're just going to create more and more wear as you're scrubbing the tires back and forth very, very quickly. So the less you can, saw at the wheel, sometimes it's, feels absolutely necessary. But the more you can avoid that, the better you're going to save tires. And as we see Christian Light barely get into the outside wall off of turn 2, he is really feeling the tires start to wear at the moment.
It's spectacular to watch on TV, though, especially if the driver in question is wearing white gloves, as Christian Light is. He gets down on the apron through the front stretch, the D-shaped oval there. It's spectacular to watch if he's wearing white gloves, but you're right. He has worn the tires out on that car. Meanwhile, Crash Neon has pulled up on the back of John Hutchins, and they're going to do battle for the 3rd spot.
Yes, they are. And one thing to also point out, Christian Light, last time around, 32.4. Peyton Howell behind on even more worn tires, 32.1. So that just goes to show, and Christian Light last time around 32.6. Something he's really got. His tires are basically gone.
He's burned them up. He's going to want to make a pit stop, put four fresh Mr. Feelgoods on his machine. We've got another story here kind of developing. The number 20 of Luke Reed has caught Greg Evans. Luke Reed is one of those cars that did stop. The 57 of Kevin Grettenberger is 6 laps down, so he is not involved here for position. But Luke Reed has quietly caught Greg Evans and Peyton Howell, who are one more time catching Christian Light. Greg Evans that last time through, almost half a second quicker than Christian Light. And so this is going to be the battle. The rubber band mode has started. Christian Light has worn out his tires. He's going to start falling back through the field. The guys that have saved their stuff are going to start coming back forward, and Luke Reed is looking for a way around Greg Evans.
Yes, he is, but they got the lap car kind of holding both of them up of Kevin Grettenberger. Greg Evans looking up the inside of Kevin going down the backstretch here. And if Luke Reed wants to stay on that rear bumper of Greg Evans, he's going to have to follow suit and try to get around Kevin Grettenberger as much as they can. As we see our Peyton Howell make pit lane, he's coming down pit lane here, Murph.
Yeah, Peyton Howell has decided enough is enough. Peyton Howell is going to go down the pit lane, and he is going to take his final set of tires. Ryan O'Donohue leads it, and now we're going to await Greg Evans to come to pit lane. Sam Crow would be another one. Or when does Greg Evans stop? He's going to stay out one more time, and what they're looking at, Caleb, what they're looking at, we've got another taker, that's Brian Sharp. As I anticipated, Brian Sharp is going to be one of the early adopters, and here he comes. But that's a gamble. There's a risk to that. Peyton Howell's going to go a lap down, so too Brian Sharp. And so they wanted to play out green as well. Grettenberger, big loose coming off of turn 2, and he saves it.
Yeah, Grettenberger almost got into Luke Reed there, but we see Greg Evans, very, very late call on his pit and entry to come down pit road. He's going to take 4 set of tires now. About just over 35 laps remaining. He will have slightly fresher tires than Peyton Howell, but Peyton Howell is going to have the slight undercut advantage
on Evans. Yeah,
Greg Evans.
Yeah, he's going to have the advantage. The 73, that is Vance Fisher. He has stopped 2 laps ago, and there you see that's a perfect illustration of what new tires is going to do. Put 4 on that baby, and she turns into a hot rod. Vance Fisher rockets past John Hutchins and Crash Neon. The leader, Ryan O'Donohue, he's up by 3.3 seconds. The last stop for Ryan O'Donohue, 35 laps ago, he's got 32 go. So here's the question. He's got enough fuel in the tank to make it, Caleb. Do Evans and Howell have enough time? Brian Sharp gets the wall right in front of Peyton Howell. Sharp saves it. Peyton Howell goes through. Last lap for Peyton Howell, 30.593. Last lap for Ryan O'Donoghue, 32.282. So 1.7 seconds is the difference. Now, Peyton Howell, he's entering turn 3 right now. Ryan O'Donoghue is in turns 1 and 2. So Peyton Howell is about a lap and a half behind Ryan O'Donoghue. Does he have enough time in 28 laps to make up a lap and a half at 30 with a 32 second per lap
Ryan
time?
O'Donoghue's in pit lane. Ryan O'Donoghue's pitting.
Yeah, he's going to blink. He said, look, I don't know if the lead is going to hold up. I don't know if I can save enough fuel. He's going to pit. He's got a black flag. Too fast entering pit lane.
That is basically day done for Ryan O'Donoghue. Absolutely heartbroken. He led basically the entirety of the third stage ever since that last caution came out. And now that hands the lead to Kendall Paul.
Well, it'll hand the lead to Kendall Paul, and is Kendall Paul going to stay out? Is he going to try to make the run all the way to the end? O'Donoghue sits in his pit box, and he has got to be absolutely beside himself. Remember, we talked about at the beginning of the show, Ryan O'Donoghue, new wheel, new wheelbase, new pedals. And you've got to wonder, does that play up getting on the pit lane? He's not familiar with the brake pressures. He doesn't get it woed down enough. And Ryan O'Donoghue, speeding ticket, and that's going to drop him well back in the running order. He's going to lose it. He's going to go at least 2 laps down here, and that should drop him back down into the lower teens. The leader, Kendall Paul, it's been 40 laps since he stopped. John Hutchins second, Crash Neon third, Luke Reed and Chad Meadows, your top 5. I'll say, hey, Lewis Hayes has moved into the top 5. Can they make it on fuel? And can Peyton Howell and Greg Evans run them down? They're catching them about a second and a half a lap. I don't think that's enough time, Caleb.
Well, they would have to do basically a second a lap if they started now, and even then that's only 25. So they would have to do about a 2-second faster pace than our leaders at the moment. Right now, that's not working out. As we see the 53 spin out right in front of Peyton Howell.
Justin Osterman.
Mr. Excitement getting loose off too. He keeps it on the apron though, so no caution flies. That could have been absolutely disastrous for some of these drivers here.
Yeah, it would have been. They all would have gotten their laps back, but they would have had to have pitted. They would have had to have pitted, and they would have been at the end of the lead lap. And there's Osterman and his spin. Just no more grip in the 40-lap-old tires. And Osterman, whose car has been damaged earlier in an incident, spins it down. He doesn't hit anything. He's going to harmlessly spin to the apron, and because he's outside of the racing surface, no caution. We race on. And Kendall Paul, he's going to hit pit lane. So Kendall Paul answers that question. He's going to stop. John Hutchins is coming in, and that'll hand the lead to Crash Neon. So is Neon going to be able to make it? There you see the gaps. Luke Reed is also on pit road. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is going to stay out one more time. Can Crash Neon make it? You said, Caleb Brashear, and I think Neon might be coming in this time. No, that's just the tire difference with Greg Evans. You said earlier they could make it about 65 laps, right?
65 to 70 laps, so they are right on the edge of making it here, Murph.
And they've got some caution there. I'll tell you what, Crash Neon might be in the catbird seat. Here you see the interval. Only 4 cars left. Kendall Paul has blinked. He's come to pit lane with John Hutchins. That leaves Neon, Hayes, Howell, and Greg Evans has gotten back on the lead lap with Peyton Howell. So they're coming. Sam Crow is going to unlap himself. So if the caution flies, those guys will be able to come get tires. At least Evans and Crow will. Peyton Howell doesn't have any tires left to get.
And that's the absolutely huge disadvantage, you know, taking that very early set very early on that first caution on lap 20 is going to, if we get into our caution late in this running, is going to hurt him in the end. Crash Neon. Right now, last time around was 27 seconds. They come across the line. It is now 25.7 seconds. So Peyton Howell is going to have to do over a second lap faster than Crash Neon if he wants to get back to the front here, Murph.
He's doing it too. Neon last time by 32 and a half even. Peyton Howell 31.372. Greg Evans 31.254. They are coming. Will they run out of time if Crash Neon decides to stay out? Ryan O'Donoghue gets by the 00. O'Donoghue puts himself back to 1 lap down. Everybody from 6th on back is more than a lap down to this man, Crash Neon, and he is trying to turn this into an economy run. He's doing his best Harry Gann impression out there. Lift early, and let's get on board with Crash Neon and see just how much he is lifting, Caleb.
He is lifting a lot here, Murph. Typically, the apex speed, on a fresh set of tires is about 175 through the corners. He's all the way down to 155. He is doing massive lifts, not only to save, the fuel as much as he can, but to save the tires, the tire advantage. Peyton Howell closed in another second and a half over Crash Neon. This is going to get really close at the end of the race here, Murph.
It is. That has a double effect, and you're exactly right. It'll save fuel. It'll also save tires. Past goes Kendall Paul. Past goes Christian Light. And Crash Neon puts the hand out the window and says, "You go ahead, boys. I'm just fine right where I am." 16 laps to go. Crash Neon. And let's not forget about this man, Say Hey Lewis Hayes. If he can keep everything moving in the right direction, he's catching Crash Neon just a little bit. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is a couple of tenths a lap faster than Crash Neon. He's not going to catch him. He's 12 seconds behind him, but he may have just enough buffer between himself and Peyton Howell that Say Hey Lewis Hayes can hold on to a podium if he can. Peyton Howell might get there. Well, Peyton Howell might get there, but Greg Evans is another 3 seconds behind. They've only got 15 laps to go, Caleb.
It's going to be very, very close here. Peyton Howell closing another second and a half over our leader. That gap is coming down a lot here, Murph. Greg Evans hasn't really closed that gap at all to Peyton Howell. He's lost a bit of time through pit lane.
Neon's coming in. Crash Neon is coming in. So Crash Neon has blinked. 15 laps to go, and that leaves it up to Say Hey Lewis Hayes. Lewis Hayes in the Robert Turnbull Grease Monkey Special. Robert Turnbull, his father-in-law, and they watch all of these races. Lewis told me they have a poker night. They get together with their buddies, turn the race on. Say Hey Lewis Hayes with a blink. But Lewis is your leader. He's got about 6.5 seconds on Peyton Howell. Can he make this work? Last time through. For Peyton Howell, 31.725. Unfortunately, with the blink, we don't know what the last lap was for Say Hey Lewis Hayes, so we're going to see if we can get a read on his lap time. Caution!
Caution's out. Oh, big wreck on the front stretch.
Big accident. James Hodgson, Luke Reed, the number 70 of Christopher Logan, all involved, and that changes everything, Caleb. Let's get a read on this accident. It's Hodgson and the 20 of Luke Reed. They come off a 4, and Hodgson and Reed just run out of real estate. Huge impact for both of them. There's the 70. That is Christopher Logan getting involved. Hodgson with the meatball. Logan has already retired the car. And we're going to cover the stops here. The top 10 are on the lead lap. Does anybody... We know Say Hey Lewis Hayes has got some tires. We don't know about Peyton Howell. I believe Howell has used his last set. Does anybody else have tires available?
I think a large portion. Greg Evans is coming down pit lane. Sam Crow is coming down pit lane. Luke Reed in front of them. He's lapped down. He comes down pit lane. But you also got to think a lot of these guys have much fresher tires than Peyton Howe, our leader. St. Louis Hayes does not come down pit lane, which is very interesting to me, Murph.
Yeah, he did not come. So we're gonna get the since last pit graphic up, and this will reset. I am very curious as to say, hey, Lewis Hayes, he did not stop everybody else behind him with much, much, much fresher tires. We know that Howell does not have any left. Is it possible that, say, hey, Lewis Hayes doesn't have? Well, no, he should have one set left if we're thinking correctly. We know that Christian Light is out of tires. My guess is John Hutchins is probably also out. So too Crash Neon, but Crash Neon just stopped, and say, hey, Lewis Hayes is indicating he's going to bring it down to pit lane now too. And not a bad call, because lappers are going to go to the back, right? So not a bad call for, say, hey, Lewis Hayes. He's still going to line up 10th here, or 11th at worst. He doesn't stop. You know, it's interesting, Caleb. Say, hey, Lewis Hayes, for about 3 or 4 laps, may be okay. They're going to cool off. He's going to have plenty of grip, and maybe he's saying, look, you know, cautions breed cautions. I'd rather be here and be able to dictate the pace than be in a situation where I'm in the back and get caught up in somebody else's mess. Let there be a mess, and then I'll stop the next time.
Yeah, that's just one of those things, but I would still pit. Obviously, like I pit first time around, but you're just gonna drop to the back of the field. He's out. He's been out there for 54 laps already. You're just gonna go to the back anyways. Why not just already take the tires and move your way back towards the front? The field is fairly thinned out compared to what it was earlier. So I don't know here, Murph.
My only thought is he doesn't have them. The conditions are exactly the same as we started. 70 on the track, or 70 in the air, 78 on the track as we work toward the end of the admin box caution here in the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. The pace car is going to come off. Say, hey, Lewis Hayes is going to be your leader. We're going to jump up in Mike Rigney's luxury box to see the start. You see Barney down there. He's got the green flag in hand. Say, hey, Lewis Hayes is going to bring him to the start. Green is out. Racing resumes.
Yeah, you see Peyton Howe already making a move on St. Louis Hayes. St. Louis Hayes is going to have to concede. They go through turns 1 and 2. Peyton Howe gets around St. Louis Hayes, and that's going to allow Kendall Paul to go on the outside. St. Louis Hayes, as you see car go back to the apron, they're not able to make out who that was, but the entire pack behind on fresher tires than Peyton Howe. Peyton Howe's on the oldest tires at the front of this field here, Murph.
He is. Kendall Paul goes to second. Now he's going to drop to the bottom, and Kendall Paul is going to go for the lead. He's got John Hutchins and Greg Evans right behind him. Lewis Hayes is holding on to 5th, but he has got a mess behind him. We're going to follow the battle for the lead. It was Justin Osterman, by the way, that you saw drop to the bottom. He nearly lost his machine. Kendall Paul goes to the lead.
But not so fast, my friend. Peyton Howe looked up the inside, but that actually allowed John Hutchins to look around the outside. Those two are on the freshest tires of this league group besides Crash Neon, which is just behind him. Crash Neon now makes it 3 wide for the battle for the 3rd position. He's on the inside looking up at Peyton Howe and Greg Evans. And he is able to get the 3rd spot. Crash Neon up into 3rd.
Greg Evans smacked the wall a little bit, lost some momentum. He's going to fight back to the outside of Crash Neon and go through the middle on John Hutchins. 3 wide. Neon lifts. Greg Evans goes to second, and he's going to set off in pursuit of Kendall Paul. Caution. Caution is out. Caution is on the Speedway. It is for, I don't know.
Justin Osterman, he spun coming to pit lane, or spun off turn 4 and made his way down pit lane.
So he has the black flag. I was looking for it. Here he is. He's sideways. It's going to cause the caution because of that action. He spins down pit lane and he slides to a stop in his. He slides to a stop and he's going to. He's just going to go ahead and make his. He's going to go ahead and stop in his box there. And now I would be willing to bet you a shiny new dime. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is going to make his way down pit lane. But for Lewis Hayes, now he's going to have the freshest tires. He's going to have the advantage. There's the caution car ghosting through. We'll see if Say Hey Lewis Hayes drops onto the pit lane. I bet you he does. If he's got a set of tires to take, Caleb.
I think it's absolutely a no-brainer. We see the pace car. They all had to check up for the pace car there, but they're able to go again. And we see Say Lewis Hayes, as we said, he finally makes that call to come down pit lane. I think it's going to be around a 4-lap shootout here, Murph. I believe so. So he's basically doing qualifying laps at this point.
He will be. Lewis doesn't have another set. So that's why he didn't stop, Caleb. He's going to make his way into his pit box. He'll at least top up that number 43 machine. He may have been a little short on fuel. He was going to try to make an economy run to the end. He may have been a little short on fuel, especially if we get a green-white checker. He's going to head to the back of the lead lap cars anyway. May as well top it up on gas. But that's why Lewis Hayes didn't stop. He didn't have tires to take, Caleb.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. That would be why he didn't stop. Now, Kendall Paul has the lead. There's Kendall Paul. Greg Evans is second. Kendall Paul, 16-lap tires. Greg Evans, 6. John Hutchins in third, 16 laps. Crash Neon fourth, 8 laps. Sam Crow, he's got 6-lap tires. Sergio Abella, 6 laps on his. Peyton Howell, 27 laps in 7th place on his rubber, and he is out of tires. Christian Light, 23 laps, and the way we've seen him drive that machine, I don't know that his 23 laps, his 24 laps now might be closer to 50. Chad Meadows, 7 laps since his stop in the National Guard machine. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is 10th in the Robert Turnbull Special, and he is out of tires. That stop was fuel only. So that's where we're at in terms of strategy. Kendall Paul, Greg Evans, both past winners here. It's going to be an interesting fight to the end, and I'm locking eyes on the 00 in 4th. Crash Neon is an amazingly fast shoe. He's got fresher tires than Hutchins and Paul around him. Can we get a Crash Neon interview tonight? That'd be fun.
Yes, it would. But one person we got to look out for, Greg Evans. He has won the past 2 races here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He lines up second for a 4-lap shootout, and he's got the freshest tires out of anybody. But I think he wants to make it 3 in a row here, Murph.
He does. Ryan O'Donoghue, that's the car that you saw shoot down pit lane. He's just trying to get out of the way. Ryan O'Donoghue is coming to pit lane.
Green.
Self-imposed penalty there. Green flag is out. 5 laps to go. Kendall Paul shoots into the lead. Neon to the outside of John Hutchins. And here we go. Evans against Kendall Paul. Crash Neon against John Hutchins. Who's going to bring home the trophy here at Vegas? We're going to find out in about 6 miles. Sergio Abella off of the 52 and hard into the wall. Peyton Howell making some noise in the middle of that pack, and Greg Evans has gone to the lead. The battle is now going to be for the 3rd spot and further back. 3 wide further back. Sam Crow and Sergio Abella bouncing off of each other. Crash Neon goes to 3rd.
Crash Neon, he is on a slightly fresher set than Kendall Paul at the moment, I believe. but he is going to have to rip around this Las Vegas track and start doing qualifying laps if he wants to try to get back up towards the leaders. Meanwhile, Greg Evans has pulled away slightly from Kendall Paul for the lead of this race.
He has. Ryan O'Donohue checks in. He says that he's got some bad cramps in his left hand, and so he's decided to retire for the evening. Evans, Kendall Paul, Crash Neon. The battle is for 4. Sam Crow goes by John Hutchins. Sergio Abella to the bottom. He's going to go by Hutchins. Sergio Abella moves into the top 5 in the number 21. That means John Hutchins is back to 6, and Peyton Howell has dropped all the way back to the 8th spot. Abella now sets off to chase Sam Crow, but the man of the hour, the more things change, the more things change around here, the more they stay the same. Greg Evans, he's been to the back, he's been to the front, he's been in the wall, he's going through turn 3, and the next thing he sees is going to be the checkered flag from Barney when he comes off of turn 4. Greg Evans off of turn 4, checkered flag is going to come out, and Greg Evans is your winner here in Vegas. There you have it. Greg Evans, as Justin Osterman spins it out one more time for old time's sake off of turn number 2. I think he spun over there at least thrice. The television panel completely gone on the back of that Chevrolet. But your Rogue Energy winning moment is going to belong to Greg Evans. If you go to rogueenergy.com and use promo code AMA24, you get 10% off your order. rogueenergy.com, promo code AMA24, 10% off. Get yourself a pick-me-up as Greg Evans burns them down. That is Greg Evans' 3rd win in a row in the AMA in Las Vegas. It is not his 3rd win in a row this year. It's his 2nd win on the season. But it's his 3rd win in a row. He swept both races here last year. Greg Evans is your winner tonight at Las Vegas. Kendall Paul will come home 2nd. Crash Neon rounds out your podium. Sam Crow and Sergio Abella, fine runs into the top 5. John Hutchins, Chad Meadows, Peyton Howell, Christian Light, and Say Hey Lewis Hayes are going to round out your top 10. In 11th, it's Vance Fisher, Brian Sharp 12th, Luke Reed, Ryan O'Donohue, Kevin Krettenberger are your top 15. Justin Osterman, Ted Craven, Randy Dunlap round out the finishers. 16th, 15th, 16th, and 17th, Christopher Logan and James Hodgson, 19th and 20th. They are out of the race this evening. In 21st, Michael Kirk, Troy Carricker classified 22nd. Keith Graham, Mason Muller, Trevor Ryan, Lee Campbell, Donald Green, Raymond White, David Dunwoody, and Andrew Gates through P30. 31st, Andrew Jones, Parker Lindemann, 32nd. Dylan Blankenship, 33rd. And Eric Corder is 34th. And Greg Evans is still out there, Caleb, doing the donuts. He's doing them in pit lane.
And I don't blame him. I mean, it was a very, very good win. Able to make it 3 in a row here in the gambling capital of the world. Just absolute dominance from what we see in Greg Evans here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
It is indeed Greg Evans, your winner tonight. Let's get some interview video queued up. And let's see if we've got drivers waiting on us. Still nobody in the interview room, waiting on Crash Neon. There he is. Crash Neon, you've got Murph, you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I got you loud and clear.
I'll tell you what, my friends, you had a fun night in the Cartoon Network machine. It's you had the fresh tires at the end. You were able to get past Peyton Howell, John Hutchins. Couldn't quite get to Kendall Paul. What's that like, having fresh tires when everybody else has worn theirs out?
I think that caution paid perfectly into my hands. Vegas, as I say, is a gambling state, and I was hoping for a caution right around that period because that would have worked perfectly, and ultimately it did. And I knew it was going to come down between me, Greg, and I think Sam Mayer. I think, or excuse me, I said the wrong person. Sam Crow. Pardon me.
Caleb, what do you have for Crash this evening?
So me and Murph, we were talking about, the fuel of this race, and we thought it was about 65 to 70 laps, and what it seemed to be within the range of whether or not that was possible of getting that range to go green flag from the what was it, the 130 caution and go to the end. Was that ever a consideration to just try to go green the entire way and save fuel?
It was kind of in the back of my mind. I'm just like, maybe we can make it, but I'm just like, nah. I'm like BJ McLeod. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I hate fuel saving racing, so I was just gonna go for it no matter what.
I'm with you, Crash. I'm definitely the stand on it type. But everything worked out for you. You got the caution you needed. Congratulations on your third place. We're a lot more used to seeing you in an open wheel car, but you're proving that you can run with a roof and fenders just as well. You get on the podium at P1. You know the drill. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The floor is yours.
I'm giving my first shout out to everybody in the P1 AM National Outlaw Custom R Series. These guys are amazing to run with every week or every cell. It's they certainly gave me a run for my money this race. I was the last 10 laps. I'm exhausted. I think you can hear it in my voice. That's how hard I was pushing that car. My second shout out will go to Ghost Energy. They fueled this race. That's how I was able to keep energized towards the very end, and then battle for a potential win with Greg there. So, and then my final shout out will go to P1 Broadcasting. Y'all are amazing at what y'all do for the. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's amazing what y'all do for the iRacing community, and yeah,
Well, it's a pleasure having you, Crash. We'll look forward to seeing you with or without a roof on the channel. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
thank you.
Absolutely. That's Crash Neon for second place. We're going to bring in Kendall Paul. Kendall, you've got Murph and you've got Caleb Brashear in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys. What's going on?
Well, you got the old hot rod up into the lead briefly, but then the deuce came real gin and blew past. What did you need to hold Greg Evans off?
Another set of tires, probably. We went a little aggressive on the tire strategy at the end of the stage. We saved them. A lot of those guys went in the middle of stage one, go get tires and everything. We saved them throughout those two stages. So it's like we got three sets of tires, so might as well use them because I was putting the odds on we weren't going to get a yellow, and which didn't work out. But I mean, needed another set of tires to go after him, or less amount of laps or something.
No, it was pretty clear that tires definitely mattered here. Caleb, what do you have for Kendall Paul this evening?
So we did touch on it that much over the course of the race, but this car did get an update to how it handled with the draft, how it handled just with the little minor things. Did you notice that at Vegas? Because it seemed like the tires, it was a lot harder to get a run on a car a little bit, and then the tires just seemed to wear significantly faster than we've seen at the past here at Vegas.
The major thing that I found is the arrow towards the back has significantly been changed, because it used to be where they had to be kind of right up on your bumper to do anything, and it seemed like they could be 2, 3, 4, 5 feet away and it would step out. I don't know if that's just me not remembering correctly or if that's a new update or not, but that's what it kind of felt like. The rear end was trying to slide out when you had a guy behind you, but tires wise, I don't know if it really made a difference from last year or not. I couldn't really quite remember. I always come in these races kind of a little bit blind a little bit because I'm not 100% remembering what all went on last year, but definitely with the new update, definitely with the rear arrow, had something to do with it.
Yeah, it's always interesting, especially when you run a race during week 13. The update, that's going to be the first time that a lot of drivers have sat in the car in the new build when they show up for practice. And you and John did pretty good today. You come home second. John Hutchins finished sixth, so a good day for the Interstellar team as well. You know the drill, Kendall. You get on the podium, you get the mic. Friends, family, sponsors, the shout outs. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I got first foremost, like always, I gotta thank Archway Industrial Coatings. They really help us out a lot, and they've been here almost ever since we've started. So gotta thank them a lot, and it sounds like they're kind of here to stay, and they're really flexible. And whatever we want to do and whatever we want to try, they're always down and support the league. So I can't thank them enough. And gotta thank Sean Mott and Jason Southard for their help with the league, and also got to thank Outland Custom Arms, our new sponsor this year, and Randy Dunlap. All of those two sponsors have been just amazing to work with, and I could not thank them enough. Everything you see here today is possible because of them, so I can't thank them enough. All the other league sponsors, Black Knight Studios, Admin Box, P1. Oh, I'll get to you here in a second. Track Racer. I think I've got them all. I can't really quite see them on the side of my car today. But they do something somewhat form the league. Got to thank all of my staff members and everything for helping out with the league. And I got to thank all the teammates. They've been really supportive these last couple of weeks. And I feel like we've been working really well together. And what a good run for John. I'm so happy for him. And I think he would have been right there behind me if he didn't get it. Sounded like he got a little bit of trouble there with that little stint there to the end. I think he would have had 2 spots better, but really good run for him. Shame that James and Mike got into wrecks, but I know they'll bounce back. And thanks to all the Alliance teams of Interstellar. I can't thank them enough. And got to thank you guys for broadcasting, and friends and family that are watching that support me doing this and let me do this. And but yeah, I think that's all. Probably forgetting somebody, but
That's okay. I once yelled at Gary Godso during an interview because he took my car off the screen while I was trying to read the sponsors off the side. So I definitely can understand. I can definitely understand that, Kendale. It's a long night. I know that 300 miles here and one of these things will wear you out. So definitely get that. With that said, my friend, keep going fast, having fun, and we'll see you at the next one. All right.
yeah, see you next week, kids. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's Kendale Paul. He is your second place finisher. And we kind of said it, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Greg Evans is your winner tonight in the Sim Magic Deuce. Greg, it wasn't without a fight. You and Peyton Howell, along with Ryan O'Donohue, went after it pretty much for the entire event. You wind up coming off best because you had a set of tires when Peyton didn't. Kind of walk and talk us through what you were thinking in those closing stages, and especially when that final yellow came out. Did you know you were going to be able to go past Kendale pretty easily, or did you know you were in for a fight?
I mean, it all kind of really started that first segment. We stayed out in that caution, and a couple guys pitted. We saved a set of tires there. I was really, I've been bit so late in these races before, and I told Sam and Ryan that he pitted whenever we was thinking about pitting, and it was kind of a 50-50 flip of the coin. So I stayed out, and if we hadn't got that caution with 15 laps to go, I'd probably finished 6th or 7th. But whenever that caution came out, I knew that me and Sam were probably the only ones who had a fresh set of tires in the pits, and we was able to come down and get them. And I told Sam, I was like, let's let it rip. So just played out. Whenever I tried to take my time getting through the guys that I knew were on older tires, but I had to take it 3 wide a few times and push it. And when I was able to get a good restart beside Kendall, I kind of felt like we had it in the bag there, but you never know how it will play out. But it all played out in our favor and able to get the win tonight.
Most certainly so. Caleb, what do you got for the winner, Greg Evans, this evening?
Well, you answered the one question I was going to ask, so I'm going to ask you the non-series question of, what is your favorite chicken wing flavor?
Oh man, you got to go Honey Barbecue. Or there's a little place in Hickory where I live at. They've got a sauce called Tiger Blood, and it's got a little bit of a kick to it, but it's kind of like a honey barbecue with a little bit extra jalapenos in it, and either two of those flavors would be just fine with me.
I'll tell you what, I told Mike Rigney, y'all were making me hungry earlier in the race. I was going to have to call the wonderful Miss Natalie to have her bring me some food. All this talk about chicken wings. Anyway, Greg, you another win. This is 3 in a row for you at Las Vegas in this series. You swept it last year. You get the win here tonight, so 3 in a row at Vegas. Congratulations on that feat. Congratulations on the win tonight. I would assume that you're also going to assume the points lead. It was only a couple of points difference between you and Peyton Howell coming into this one. Peyton finishes 8th, so you should leapfrog him into the points lead altogether. A great night for you, a great night for the team with Sam coming home 4th. Say hey, Lewis Hayes gets a top 10. Ryan O'Donohue fast all night. With that said, friends, family, sponsors, shout-outs, the floor is yours, my man. Take it long as you like.
Yeah, definitely got to thank my DVD Motorsports guys. Depending on how the cautions fell, I felt like we had a bunch of different guys. Lewis is in the lead a couple times. Ryan was in the lead a few times. Sam had a good run going. So, the cautions didn't fall in everybody's favor. It fell in my favor tonight. But those guys had heck of a run. I think I remember seeing in the standings one time we were 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, just thank those guys. Thank Sim Magic, Sim Labs, Simshop, Daniel Newman Racing. Got to thank. I got to remember John Van Varelis. That's who we're doing it for this year. The whole season's dedicated to him. And I was talking. His brother messaged me last week after we finished 2nd, and I was like, man, it's tough, but we're going to get some more wins. And just glad that we could pull it off tonight. And just always thinking of John this year. Man, it's I would love to be able to run one more race with him. He was already signed up and looking forward to coming over here and racing this league. And man, I know he's in a better place, but I miss him. So just thinking of him.
Echo your thoughts, Greg. I liked racing with him too. But thank you so much for stopping in. Thank you so much for stopping by. Congratulations on another trophy for your collection. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys. And thank you guys for broadcasting the races. Like I say, always. I ran for years and years and years with no broadcast and didn't even know it even existed. And after I remember the nerves I had for the first broadcast race, I was a nervous wreck, but it just adds so much more to a sim racing experience whenever it's being broadcast and guys are watching it and you get to go back and watch it. So just thank you guys for taking y'all's time out of y'all's daily activities and life and families to do it for us. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, we're glad to be here, Greg. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy.
See you guys. Have a good evening.
Yes, sir. That is Greg Evans. He is your winner tonight. And Caleb, it may not seem like it, but these races always get interesting, don't they?
Oh, of course they do. This is our first mile and a half of the season, what they call a cookie cutter track. But we saw a bit like strategy prevail over this, and we saw that a little bit at Phoenix. But this one was really interesting because the caution came out right at the end, or right at the beginning of when you can pit, or when you can make it to the end of a full green flag stint. And you saw drivers come in, take some tires. You saw some drivers stay out. And it really kind of played like 50-50 on how the end of this race was going to play out. And it looked like it was going to be Peyton Howell that was going to get prevail before that caution with 10 to go happened. So it was really interesting in how we saw this race play out over the course of the 300 miles. And it was really interesting to see, all the drivers that were up towards the front, all the drivers that kind of shuffled back and forth. But it was a very, very, very interesting race.
It most certainly was. Points are up. Greg Evans, 240 on 240 points is your leader. Peyton Howell, 218, drops to second. Ryan O'Donohue, third on 171. John Hutchins and Sam Crow will round out your top 5. Kendall Paul jumps up 2 to 6. David Dunwoody drops 2 down to 7th. Crash Neon is 8th. Riley Lee 9th. And Say Hey Lewis Hayes gets himself into the top 10 in points. So those are your point standings leaving Las Vegas. For the remainder of the week and into next week, the P1 schedule is going to start picking back up. No race tomorrow because the iRacing IndyCar Series is off. The Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series is going to be at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Remember the time change, 3 o'clock on Sunday for the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series. They will go from Portland. On Sunday night, it's the Dark Horse DW12 Series presented by 4D Racewear. They will be at Michigan, and that's going to be one that I'm going to be chomping at the bit to go to. I'm loving that series right now. 8 o'clock, Dark Horse DW12 presented by 4D Racewear. Sunday night. On Monday, the regular schedule resumes. It's the IndyCar Series Monday Night Top Split live from the new St. Petersburg. And remember, with the time change, that race is now at 8 o'clock Eastern. At 10 o'clock Eastern, it's the Indy Next Road Series Monday Night Top Split, also from St. Petersburg. Tuesday, the IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday Night Top Split will happen from Homestead Miami Speedway. That's at 8:15. And at 9:30, it's the Indy Next Oval Series Tuesday Night Top Split from Twin Ring Motegi. Area 51 has the night off. On Wednesday, the Horizon IndyCar Series is off. We'll have the Formula Super Series at 8:20 from Circuit Manicourt in France. That is an IndyCar Series run to Formula One rules. It is very, very good. The AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, for the AMA. Next week, it will be the Grand National Series, 8:20 p.m. pre-race, 8:35 start from Darlington. That's a week from tonight, and a week from tomorrow. They're off this week, but the Trucksters are back. March the 20th, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start, live here on P1. We do want to thank all of the drivers for their participation. Another awesome field tonight. Got to thank Kendall Paul for having us. All the sponsors for the AMA: Outland Custom Arms, Archway Industrial Coatings, Admin Box, Track Racer, Blackmagic Studios, Rogue Energy, and Simshop for their support of the series. We want to thank the fans in the stands, but most of all, we want to thank the people that really make this possible. The police, the firemen, the military, the EMTs driving the ambulance, and Caleb, you can't forget the nurse that unloads you when they get you there. From all of us, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Next up, the Sim Gaming Expo Classic IndyCar Series, 3 o'clock on Sunday. Have a great night, everybody.